Greetings, dear viewers. You're watching Cross Naruto. We have prepared something special for you today. What if Naruto was the Titan Breaker, the Primordial who imprisoned Atlas? Naruto x Rhea x Hera, Percy Jackson. Your likes and subscriptions keep this channel alive. If you enjoy our content, please show your support. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. Chapter 1, The Awakening. The sky fractured. Not that mortals noticed. Their eyes couldn't perceive the cosmic cracks spreading across reality like spiderwebs on glass. But gods felt it. Demigods sensed it. And somewhere, deep in the void between dimensions, something ancient stirred. Naruto opened his eyes for the first time in millennia. Well, shit, he muttered, feeling the cosmic disturbance ripple through his consciousness. That's not supposed to happen. The space he existed in wasn't really space at all, more like a pocket dimension he'd created eons ago when he needed somewhere to think. No time passed here unless he wanted it to. No aging, no change, just existence. He'd grown comfortable with that. Maybe too comfortable. He stretched, his body remembering its form. Spiky blonde hair. Whisker marks on his cheeks. Blue eyes that shifted to slitted red when his power surged. He wore simple black pants and an orange-trimmed jacket that had been fashionable, well, never, really. But he liked it. Another tremor shook the void around him. Atlas, he whispered, recognizing the signature. The binding was weakening. The Titan was straining against his prison. With a sigh, Naruto stood and tore open reality with his bare hands, stepping through dimensions like others might walk through a doorway. Mount Tamalpais in California was having unusually stormy weather. Lightning flashed across the peak, though no rain fell. Park rangers had closed the hiking trails, blaming unstable conditions, but they couldn't explain why their equipment kept malfunctioning or why some claimed to hear a man's agonized groans echoing from the summit. A blond man in an orange-trimmed jacket appeared on the mountain path, seemingly out of nowhere. No flash of light, no sound, just sudden existence where there had been empty space a moment before. Naruto tilted his head, listening to the mountain. He could feel Atlas's strain, the cosmic weight beginning to slip. The Titan's prison wasn't physical, it was conceptual, dimensional. Atlas didn't hold up the sky, he held up the barrier between worlds. And that barrier was cracking. You're not supposed to be here. Naruto turned to find a woman watching him from higher up the path. She wore hiking clothes, sturdy boots, cargo pants, a weatherproof jacket, but there was nothing mortal about her presence. Power radiated from her in waves that distorted the air. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical braid, and her eyes shifted color like kaleidoscopes, never settling on one hue. Rhea, Naruto said, a slow smile spreading across his face. Been a while. The Titaness crossed her arms. 5,000 years, give or take. You said you were stepping out for a minute. I got distracted. By what? There's literally nothing outside this dimension. Exactly. Naruto shrugged. Nothing can be pretty fascinating when you've seen everything. A tremor shook the mountain, stronger than the others. Rocks tumbled down the slope as both immortals steadied themselves. He's breaking free, Rhea said, her playful demeanor vanishing. Your binding is failing. Naruto frowned and started climbing, moving past her with inhuman speed. That's impossible. I tied that knot with my own essence. The only way it breaks is if something affected time itself, Rhea finished, keeping pace with him effortlessly. Which is exactly what's happening. They reached a plateau near the summit where the air shimmered like a heat mirage. To mortal eyes, nothing unusual would be visible. But Naruto and Rhea could see the dimensional tear forming, a jagged crack in reality through which something massive strained to break free. Naruto approached the rift, pressing his palm against it. The tear reacted to his touch, edges sealing slightly before bulging outward again. Chronos, he muttered. Has to be. Only he could manipulate time enough to weaken my binding. Rhea's expression darkened. My husband should be scattered across Tartarus still. The gods defeated him in the last war. Scattered doesn't mean destroyed. Naruto's eyes flashed red as he pushed more energy into the rift, temporarily stabilizing it. And he's not alone. This manipulation, it's got Arena's signature all over it. My father? That's impossible. He was chopped into pieces by Kronos, yeah. But primordials don't die so easily. Naruto stepped back, wiping sweat from his brow. They're working together somehow. Probably not the full entities, but enough of their consciousness to cause trouble. Another tremor shook the mountain, more violent than before. The rift expanded despite Naruto's efforts to contain it. I can hold this temporarily, he said, but we need more power. And information. He glanced at Rhea. You're on speaking terms with your kids these days, right? The Olympians? Rhea laughed bitterly. Some more than others. Zeus and I haven't spoken in centuries. Poseidon visits occasionally. Hades and I get along well enough. And Hera? Complicated. Rhea's expression softened. She's had a difficult time. Zeus isn't exactly husband of the millennium. Naruto nodded. We need to contact them. This isn't just Atlas breaking free, it's the start of something bigger. If Kronos and Arenas are working together, even partially reformed. I'll arrange a meeting. Rhea pulled out a smartphone, drawing a surprised look from Naruto. What? I adapt with the times. Unlike some people who disappear for millennia. In my defense, time doesn't exist where I was. That excuse worked better in the Bronze Age. She typed rapidly on her phone. Olympus has changed since you last saw it. They've modernized. There's an entire divine social network now. You're kidding. God book. Terrible name, I know. Rhea put her phone away. Hera will meet us in San Francisco. She's the only one I trust not to immediately attack you on sight. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Why would they attack me? Because you're literally the boogeyman in their mythology. The primordial who bound the Titans. Zeus has spent millennia claiming he did what you did. Rhea smirked. His ego won't handle the truth well. Great. Naruto created a shadow clone, an exact duplicate of himself that appeared in a puff of smoke. My clone will maintain the binding temporarily. We've got maybe 24 hours before it dissipates. Rhea studied the clone with interest. That technique still fascinates me. No Greek deity can duplicate themselves so perfectly. I'm not Greek, Naruto reminded her. Not even close. The clone sat cross-legged before the rift, channeling energy into the failing barrier. Meanwhile, Naruto and Rhea descended the mountain, the Titaness leading the way toward the city visible in the distance. San Francisco bustled with evening activity, blissfully unaware of the cosmic crisis unfolding nearby. Naruto and Rhea walked the streets, the former taking everything in with wide-eyed curiosity. Cars got smaller, he observed. And louder. And there's so many lights everywhere. Says the man who can literally create balls of spiraling energy in his palm. That's different. That's chakra. This is. He gestured at a massive electronic billboard, excessive. Rhea led him to a rooftop garden atop one of the city's luxury hotels. The space was closed to the public, but the magical barriers recognized the Titaness and admitted them without issue. The garden was lush and beautiful, with flowering plants from across the world arranged in elegant patterns. A fountain burbled in the center, its water suspiciously golden. Nectar, Rhea explained, noticing his gaze. Hera's touch. She always brings a bit of Olympus wherever she goes. As if summoned by her name, the air shimmered near the fountain. A woman appeared, her arrival far more dramatic than Naruto's had been. Golden light preceded her, and the scent of pomegranates and lilies filled the air. She materialized slowly, like a photograph developing, until she stood fully formed before them. Hera, Queen of Olympus, wore a simple white business suit with subtle golden embroidery around the cuffs and collar. Her dark hair was pinned up elegantly, and a small golden crown sat atop her head, more a tiara than royal headgear. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent, taking in Naruto with obvious suspicion. "Mother," she greeted Rhea formally before turning to Naruto. "And the Titan Breaker himself. I thought you were a myth." "I get that a lot," Naruto replied with an easy grin. "Nice to finally meet you, Hera." Hera raised an eyebrow. "You know who I am." Rhea filled me in on the walk over. "Queen of Olympus, goddess of marriage, Zeus's wife, general badass who puts up with way too much divine drama." A ghost of a smile touched Hera's lips before disappearing. "Flattery won't earn my trust, Primordial." "Not flattery, just facts. And I'm not technically a Primordial, at least not the way you understand them." Rhea interjected, "Perhaps we should discuss the immediate crisis before diving into cosmic taxonomy." Hera nodded, gesturing toward a seating area near the edge of the garden. As they sat, servants, nymphs disguised with mist to appear human, brought drinks and disappeared. "Atlas is breaking free," Hera said without preamble. "Zeus felt the disturbance this morning. He's mobilizing the Olympian forces, believing Kronos is attempting another rise." "He's partially right," Naruto said, leaving his drink untouched. "Kronos is involved, but so is Uranus. And they're not just freeing Atlas, they're systematically weakening all the cosmic bindings." Hera's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. Uranus was destroyed ages ago." "Not destroyed, just scattered." Naruto leaned forward. "Primordials can't be permanently killed, not even by other primordials. They just change form, lose cohesion. Given enough time and the right circumstances, they can pull themselves back together." "And what circumstances would those be?" Hera asked. Naruto and Rhea exchanged glances. "Cosmic alignment," Rhea said carefully. "Which happens to be occurring next week. The positioning of planets, stars, and dimensional gates will create a perfect conduit for scattered divine essence to reconverge." Hera set down her glass with deliberate control. "And why wasn't the Council of Olympus informed of this threat?" "Because Zeus doesn't listen to titans," Rhea replied, an edge to her voice. "Even when that titan is his mother." Tension crackled between the two goddesses. Naruto could sense old wounds and resentments bubbling beneath the surface of their interaction. Family drama among immortals never resolved, it just festered for centuries. "Look," he interrupted, "what matters now is containing Atlas and figuring out where else the bindings are weakening. My clone can hold the California breach for a day at most. We need a more permanent solution." "And why should Olympus trust you?" Hera challenged. "You disappeared for millennia. For all we know, you could be working with Kronos." Naruto snorted. "The guy I imprisoned for eternity? Yeah, we're best buddies. People change allegiances. Gods change sides. I'm not a god." Naruto's eyes flashed red momentarily. "And I don't choose sides. I maintain balance." Hera studied him intently, her divine perception trying to parse his true nature. "What are you, then? You're clearly not a titan, despite what the old stories claim." "I'm..." Naruto hesitated. How could he explain what he barely understood himself? "I'm from elsewhere. Another dimension, another reality. I arrived here long ago, before Olympus, before the Titanomachy. I saw the chaos Kronos and the others were causing, the damage to the cosmic fabric, and I stepped in. Out of the goodness of your heart." Hera's tone was skeptical. "Out of necessity. The Titans weren't just threatening this world, their actions were creating dimensional instability that could have collapsed multiple realities. Including the one I came from." Rhea placed a hand on his arm. "Naruto helped us when no one else would or could. Without him, there would be no Olympus, no Western civilization, nothing but chaos. Hera's gaze shifted between them, noting the familiarity of the gesture. You two have history. Ancient history, Naruto clarified quickly. But history nonetheless. Hera stood, pacing the garden perimeter. Zeus won't accept outside help. His pride won't allow it, especially from someone whose mere existence challenges his claim as the one who defeated Kronos. Then don't tell him, Naruto suggested. Hera stopped pacing. Excuse me. Work with us directly. You're the Queen of Olympus. You have authority, resources, knowledge of how things currently operate. Between your divine power, Rhea's Titan abilities, and my, whatever I am, we can handle this without bringing Zeus's ego into it. You're suggesting I deceive my husband? The king of the gods. I'm suggesting you save the world while letting him believe he's the one doing it. Naruto shrugged. From what Rhea tells me, it wouldn't be the first time. Hera's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in her eyes, amusement, perhaps, or recognition. Zeus is currently preoccupied with a situation in Europe. Some Norse deities crossing boundaries again. He's granted me temporary authority to handle the minor Atlas situation, as he called it. Perfect, Rhea said. We have breathing room. For now. Hera returned to her seat, her posture more relaxed but still regal. I'll help you, but I want something in return. Name it, Naruto said. Knowledge. I want to know what you are, where you came from, and why you really disappeared for 5,000 years. Her gaze was penetrating. No more vague explanations about being from elsewhere. Naruto hesitated, then nodded. Fair enough. But that's a long conversation for another time. Right now, we need to reinforce the binding on Atlas. Agreed, Hera said. I've already taken the liberty of arranging transportation. As if on cue, the rooftop door opened, and a young man stepped out. He looked about 16, with curly brown hair and a mischievous smile. Most notably, he had small wings fluttering from his ankles and was twirling a caduceus between his fingers. Ladies, he greeted with a bow before turning curious eyes on Naruto. And, whatever you are. Wow, you're putting out some serious power vibes, dude. Naruto, meet Hermes, Hera introduced. God of travelers, messenger of Olympus, and the only one of my children who can keep a secret from Zeus. Mom pays me well, Hermes winked. Though usually not to keep secrets from Dad. This should be interesting. Naruto stood, offering his hand to the young god. Nice to meet you. Quick question, how are you with dimensional physics? Hermes blinked. I deliver packages across dimensions sometimes. Does that count? Close enough, Naruto grinned. We need to get back to Mount Tam, fast. That's literally what I do best. Hermes spun his caduceus, which transformed into a smartphone. He tapped the screen a few times. Our ride will be here in 3, 2. The air next to the garden split open, revealing a swirling portal of golden light. 1. All aboard the Hermes Express. The portal deposited them directly at the summit of Mount Tamalpay, where Naruto's clone maintained a tenuous hold on the cosmic rift. The duplicate looked exhausted, sweat pouring down its face as it channeled energy into the failing barrier. Took you long enough, the clone grumbled. Traffic, the real Naruto replied with a smirk before turning serious. Status? It's getting worse. Something on the other side is actively pushing now. Not just Atlas, something else. The clone nodded toward the rift. Look for yourself. Naruto approached the dimensional tear, placing his hands on either side of it. His eyes shifted to red, vertical pupils focusing on something beyond normal perception. The others watched as his body tensed. There's a consciousness directing Atlas, he said after a moment. Guiding his efforts, showing him where to push. It feels like a fragment of Kronos, but twisted, merged with something colder. Older. Arenas, Rhea whispered. This isn't good, Hermes commented, unusually serious. If those two have found a way to combine their essences, even partially. Hera moved to stand beside Naruto, studying the rift herself. What do you need from us to reinforce the binding? Power and focus, he replied, not taking his eyes off the tear. My original binding was solo work, but I was at full strength then, and the cosmic fabric was more stable. Now I need anchors, beings connected to this reality who can help me root the binding in the current cosmic framework. A triangulation, Rhea realized. You, me, and Hera forming points of a sealing matrix. Naruto nodded. Exactly. Rhea represents the old order, the Titans. Hera represents the current divine hierarchy, the Olympians. And I represent the external force, Hera finished. The outside perspective. 3 points of cosmic balance. What do I represent? Hermes asked, looking slightly left out. Our insurance policy, Naruto replied. If something goes wrong, you're fast enough to escape and warn others. Plus, we might need your skills with boundaries and transitions. This seemed to satisfy the messenger god, who twirled his caduceus nervously. How do we begin? Hera asked. Naruto dismissed his clone, absorbing its memories and its remaining chakra. He then directed Rhea and Hera to positions around the rift, forming a triangle with himself at the point closest to the tear. Channel your divine essence through me, he instructed. Don't try to shape it or direct it, just let it flow. I'll handle the actual binding structure. Rhea nodded, clearly familiar with the process. Hera looked more hesitant but took her position. Like this? She asked, extending her hands, palms upward. Perfect, Naruto confirmed. Now close your eyes and think about what you're protecting. Not Olympus, not your position, what truly matters to you about this world. The goddesses closed their eyes, their faces taking on expressions of deep concentration. Gradually, energy began to radiate from them, Rhea's a deep earthen brown with flecks of gold, Hera's a royal blue threaded with silver. The energies flowed toward Naruto, who stood with his hands forming a complex seal. Hermes, he called without looking away from his work. Watch the perimeter. We're broadcasting serious power right now. It might attract attention. The young god nodded, taking flight to circle the mountain peak. As the goddess's energy reached him, Naruto began weaving it together with his own golden-red chakra. The combined power formed intricate patterns in the air, symbols and seals from a language neither Greek nor any earthly tongue. They spun and connected, creating a complex matrix that gradually expanded to surround the rift. There's resistance, Naruto grunted, sweat beading on his forehead. Something's fighting the binding. Inside the rift, a massive form became briefly visible, Atlas straining against his prison, his muscles bulging impossibly as he pushed against reality itself. Behind him, barely perceptible, loomed 2 shadowy presences directing his efforts. Push harder, Naruto instructed the goddesses. Whatever you're focusing on, intensify it. Feel it deeper. Rhea's energy surged, the brown deepening to near black as ancient Titan power flooded from her. Hera's response was more measured but equally potent, her royal blue energy taking on an almost white-hot intensity at its core. Naruto channeled everything through his sealing technique, the symbols spinning faster, connecting in new patterns as they pressed against the rift. For several tense moments, it seemed like a stalemate, the binding matrix pushing inward, the forces inside pushing outward. Then Naruto shifted stance, his hands forming a new seal as he shouted, "Cosmic style, divine prison reinforcement." The matrix collapsed inward, slamming into the rift with tremendous force. There was a sound like reality itself screaming, a high, thin noise that made even the immortals wince, and then the tear sealed shut with a thunderous boom that shook the entire mountain. For a moment, all was silent. Then Hermes whistled low. That was intense. Did it work? Naruto dropped to one knee, breathing heavily. Temporarily. We've reset the binding, but it's not as strong as the original. It'll hold for a few weeks at most unless we find a permanent solution. Rhea approached, helping him to his feet. You've bought us valuable time. Hera remained in her position, eyes still closed, face troubled. When she finally opened her eyes, they were filled with concern. I saw them, she said quietly. When the energies merged. I saw Kronos and, something else. Something ancient and cold. They're planning something bigger than just freeing Atlas. I know, Naruto confirmed grimly. This is just the first binding they're targeting. There are others, places where I sealed away threats even worse than the Titans. How many? Hera demanded. 7 major bindings across the world. Atlas is just one. If they're all compromised. He didn't need to finish the sentence. The implications were clear. We need to check the others, Rhea said. Immediately. Hermes landed beside them. I hate to add to the bad news, but we've got company coming. I just got an alert from Olympus. Zeus felt the power surge and is sending Ares and Athena to investigate. Hera's expression hardened. We need to leave, now. Zeus cannot find you here, she said to Naruto. Not yet. Not until we understand what we're facing. Where do we go? Rhea asked. Naruto considered for a moment. I have a safe house, a pocket dimension connected to this reality. I created it ages ago as a monitoring station for the bindings. Can you still access it after all this time? Hera asked skeptically. Only one way to find out. Naruto formed a series of hand seals, then pressed his palm against the air itself. Space rippled, then split open to reveal a glowing doorway. Ladies first. Rhea stepped through without hesitation. Hera gave one last glance at the sky, where distant figures could be seen approaching, before following. Hermes looked at Naruto questioningly. You coming back to explain this to the family eventually, right? Because they're gonna have questions. Eventually, Naruto promised. Tell them whatever you need to. Just buy us some time. Hermes nodded. I'll say it was a minor Atlas situation that I helped Mom handle. Dad's ego will fill in the blanks with whatever makes him feel important. Smart kid, Naruto grinned before stepping through the portal himself. It sealed behind him just as 2 blazing figures, one red, one silver, descended on the mountain peak. Naruto's safe house was nothing like what Hera had expected. Rather than some primitive cave or ancient temple, they stood in what appeared to be a modern living space with impossible architecture. The room extended in directions that shouldn't exist, with doorways leading to landscapes that couldn't possibly connect, a snow-capped mountain visible through one, a desert through another, an ocean through a third. Monitoring windows, Naruto explained, noticing her gaze. They show the locations of the other bindings. This place. Rhea ran her hand along a wall that shimmered with embedded seals. You've maintained it all this time. Time doesn't work the same here. For this pocket dimension, I've been gone about 3 days. Naruto collapsed onto a couch that seemed to form itself from the floor. But it recognized the cosmic changes. Look. He pointed to what appeared to be a Japanese scroll hanging on the wall. As they watched, symbols on the scroll changed color, shifting from stable green to warning yellow and alarming red. The bindings, Hera realized. They're all under attack. Simultaneously, Naruto confirmed. Which should be impossible unless someone knew exactly where and how you created them, Rhea finished, her expression darkening. Someone who watched you work. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Only a handful of beings knew about all 7 bindings. You were one. Are you accusing my mother of betrayal? Hera asked sharply. No, Naruto shook his head. But someone has accessed information they shouldn't have. The only other beings who knew were The fates, Rhea said quietly. And they answer to no one. Hera paled slightly. If the fates are compromised, then the entire cosmic order is at risk. Naruto stood despite his exhaustion. We need to confirm. The fates exist outside normal divine politics. Even Zeus doesn't interfere with them. I can reach them, Hera offered. As goddess of family, I have certain privileges with the fates that others don't. It's too dangerous, Rhea protested. If they have been compromised, you'd be walking into a trap. Not if we're smart about it. Naruto approached a section of wall that opened at his touch, revealing weapons and tools of various designs. He selected what appeared to be 3 simple threads, 1 gold, 1 silver, 1 bronze. These are sealing talismans. They'll mask your divine signature, make you appear as a minor deity seeking guidance rather than the Queen of Olympus. A disguise? Hera seemed offended by the concept. Strategic anonymity, Naruto countered, offering her the threads. Wear these woven into your hair. They'll change how your divinity presents to others. Hera hesitated, then accepted the talismans. And what will you two be doing while I'm on this reconnaissance mission? Checking the binding in Egypt, Naruto said. The Sphinx houses one of the stronger seals, but according to the monitoring scroll, it's already degrading faster than the others. Why that one specifically? Hera asked as she began weaving the threads into her dark hair with practiced fingers. Because what's sealed there makes Atlas look like a minor nuisance, Naruto replied grimly. An entity older than Gaia herself. Something that should never have existed in this reality. Apophis, Rhea whispered. You sealed away Apophis. Among other things. Naruto selected weapons for himself, scrolls, kunai, and what appeared to be paper tags with seals written on them. The Egyptian pantheon couldn't destroy it, only temporarily banish it. I created a permanent solution. Which is now failing, Hera observed. How convenient that everything you've built is collapsing at once. Naruto gave her a sharp look. You still don't trust me. I trust that you believe what you're saying, Hera replied carefully. But 5,000 years is a long absence, even for immortals. Things change. Allegiances shift. My allegiance has always been to cosmic balance, not to gods or titans or any pantheon. Naruto's eyes flashed red briefly. I don't care about divine politics or who rules what. I care about preventing reality from collapsing. The tension between them crackled almost visibly. Rhea stepped between them. We're all tired and stressed, she said diplomatically. But we need to work together. The threat is real, regardless of who's responsible. Hera's posture softened slightly. You're right, Mother. I apologize for my suspicion, Naruto. Old habits of a goddess who's been betrayed too many times. No offense taken, Naruto replied, his own tension easing. In your position, I'd question me too. So we have a plan, Rhea summarized. Hera visits the fates to determine if they've been compromised, while we check the Sphinx binding. When do we reconvene? 12 hours, Naruto decided. No matter what we find, we meet back here to compare notes. And if one of us doesn't return? Hera asked. Naruto held up a small crystal. These will alert us if any of us are in danger. They're connected to our essence now that we've worked together in the binding ritual. He handed one each to Rhea and Hera. Just crush it if you're in trouble. We'll feel it and know where to find you. Hera tucked the crystal into her jacket pocket. Clever. Did you create these as well? Actually, I learned that trick from Rhea, Naruto admitted with a small smile toward the Titaness. She was always better with connection magic than I was. Rhea looked pleased by the acknowledgement. Because I understand family bonds. Something we Titans valued, despite our other flaws. Hera studied the interaction between them with curious eyes but made no comment. Instead, she straightened her clothing and checked that the talismans were properly woven into her hair. I'll take my leave then. The Fates currently reside in the mortal world, disguised as fortune-tellers in New Orleans. A bit on the nose, but they have a flair for the dramatic. Be careful, Naruto warned. If they are compromised, they'll sense deception. I've been deceiving suspicious entities for millennia, Hera reminded him with a raised eyebrow. It comes with being married to Zeus. Without waiting for a response, she closed her eyes and dissolved into golden light, teleporting away. When she was gone, Naruto turned to Rhea. She doesn't like me much. She doesn't know you, Rhea corrected. Hera's life has taught her to expect betrayal. Zeus has hardly been faithful, and the other gods treat her with more fear than respect. And yet she's helping us rather than reporting to Olympus. Why? Because despite everything, she puts duty first. Always has. Rhea's expression turned wistful. Of all my children, Hera understood responsibility best. It's made her rigid sometimes, but never corrupt. Naruto nodded, processing this information. We should get moving. Egypt's 7 hours ahead of California. Before we go, Rhea placed a hand on his arm, her expression serious. Why did you really leave, Naruto? 5,000 years without a word. He looked away, unable to meet her gaze. I told myself it was to monitor the dimensional boundaries. That I needed perspective. But honestly? He sighed. I was tired, Rhea. Tired of watching civilizations rise and fall. Tired of gods squabbling like children with too much power. I just needed space. And now? Now I don't have a choice. Naruto's eyes hardened with resolve. Someone's trying to undo everything I built. If those bindings fail completely, this world ends. Simple as that. Rhea studied him for a long moment, then nodded once. Then let's make sure that doesn't happen. Naruto opened a portal directly to Egypt, the desert heat immediately billowing through the opening. Together, they stepped through, leaving the safety of the pocket dimension for the unknown dangers ahead. The Great Sphinx stared impassively across the Giza plateau, its weathered face revealing nothing of the cosmic prison it concealed. Tourists milled about, taking photos and listening to guides explain theories about the monument's construction and purpose. None of them noticed when reality rippled slightly, depositing 2 figures behind a nearby dune. It's gotten crowded, Naruto observed, taking in the tourist buses and souvenir stands. Last time I was here, it was just sand and silence. Humanity expands, Rhea replied. They're drawn to power, even when they don't recognize it. They feel the significance of places like this. They approached the Sphinx casually, blending with the crowds thanks to a minor perception filter Naruto had cast. Not invisibility, just a subtle suggestion that they weren't worth noticing. The binding is inside, Naruto explained quietly. Between the paws, beneath the dream stela. Convenient that the Egyptians placed a monument right at your access point. Not coincidence. Certain pharaohs knew what lay beneath. The stela was placed as both marker and additional seal. They waited until a tour group moved away from the barricade, keeping visitors from getting too close to the Sphinx. When the area was momentarily clear, Naruto made a subtle hand sign. The air shimmered, and suddenly they were between the massive paws of the monument, standing before the dream stela. Quick, Naruto instructed, pressing his palm against the ancient stone. Symbols lit up beneath his touch, glowing with blue fire that was invisible to mortal eyes. This isn't good. Rhea placed her hand beside his, her expression growing concerned. The binding is almost completely degraded. Whatever's working against you, it's concentrated more effort here than at Atlas's prison. Because what's contained here is far more dangerous. Naruto began channeling energy into the stela, reinforcing the failing seals. Apophis isn't just a threat to this world, it's entropy incarnate. If it escapes, it won't stop with destroying Earth. It'll consume reality itself. As they worked, the stone beneath their hands grew hot. The hieroglyphics shifted, rearranging themselves into new patterns. "That's not supposed to happen," Naruto muttered, pouring more power into the seal. The symbols continued changing, forming a message in ancient Egyptian. Rhea read it aloud, her voice growing more concerned with each word. "The breaker returns too late. What was bound shall be free. The serpent rises at the appointed hour." She looked at Naruto. "It knows you're here." "That's impossible. This binding doesn't allow for consciousness to remain intact." Naruto pressed both hands against the stela now, his chakra flaring visibly around him. "Something else is interfering." The ground beneath them trembled slightly. In the distance, tourists pointed and exclaimed, thinking it was merely an earth tremor. But Naruto and Rhea could feel the malevolent consciousness stirring beneath the monument. "We need more power," Naruto grunted, sweat beading on his forehead. "Like with Atlas, but stronger." "We don't have Hera," Rhea reminded him. "The triangulation, we can still form a connection." Naruto grabbed her hand, linking their energy. "Focus on containment. I'll handle the structural repair." Together, they channeled power into the failing binding. The hieroglyphics fought against them, continuing to rearrange themselves into threatening messages. The trembling intensified. "It's not working," Rhea observed, her own power straining. "The binding is too far degraded." Naruto cursed under his breath, then made a decision. Plan B. He pulled a scroll from inside his jacket, unrolling it to reveal complex sealing formulas. Biting his thumb to draw blood, he smeared it across the scroll while continuing to channel energy with his other hand. "What are you doing?" Rhea demanded. "Creating a temporary containment field. We can't repair this binding properly without Hera, but we can create a stopgap." Naruto slammed the blood-marked scroll against the stela. Sealing technique, cosmic containment. The scroll dissolved into light, its symbols spreading across the entire Sphinx. For a moment, the massive monument glowed with internal power, its stone eyes seeming to blink with awareness. The trembling intensified, then suddenly stopped. Naruto staggered backward, caught by Rhea before he could fall. "Did it work?" she asked. "Temporarily." He wiped blood from his nose, a sign of extreme chakra exertion. "I've created a secondary binding that should hold for about 3 days. After that." He didn't need to finish the sentence. They both knew what would happen if Apophis broke free. "We need to return and confer with Hera," Rhea said, supporting Naruto as they moved away from the Sphinx. "This changes our timeline significantly. First, I need to check something." Naruto pressed his hand against the ground, sensing through the earth. His expression grew increasingly troubled. "The other bindings, they're all degrading at an accelerated rate now. Whatever affected this one is spreading to the others." "How is that possible?" "They're connected, all part of a larger cosmic network I created. It's how I've maintained them across dimensions." He stood with difficulty. "Someone isn't just attacking the bindings, they're using my own network against me. And only someone who knew about that network could exploit it," Rhea concluded grimly. "Exactly." Naruto opened a return portal with visible effort. "Let's hope Hera has better news than we do." New Orleans hummed with life and music, the French Quarter particularly vibrant as evening approached. Street performers, tourists, and locals created a tapestry of humanity that Hera found simultaneously fascinating and exhausting. She'd altered her appearance slightly, still regal but less obviously divine, her business suit replaced by an elegant sundress and wide-brimmed hat. The talismans Naruto had given her tingled against her scalp, continuously working to mask her true divine signature. She felt diminished wearing them, her power muffled like a shout underwater. It was uncomfortable but necessary. The Fates had established their cover as fortune tellers in a small shop tucked between a jazz club and a voodoo supply store. The sign above the door simply read Moirai in faded gold letters. Very subtle, Hera thought sarcastically as she approached. A bell tinkled as she entered the shop. The interior was dimmer than expected, smelling of incense and old books. Curtained alcoves lined the walls, presumably for private readings. At the center of the room stood a circular table covered in dark velvet, upon which rested a crystal ball and scattered tarot cards. No one appeared to be present. "Hello," Hera called, maintaining the role of a minor goddess seeking guidance. Fabric rustled from behind one of the curtains, and a young woman emerged. She appeared no more than 20, with pale skin and silver blonde hair cut in a modern style. Her eyes, however, were ancient, solid white with no visible pupils. "Clotho," Hera greeted, recognizing the youngest Fate despite her updated appearance. "You come disguised, yet use our names openly," Clotho observed, her voice melodic but emotionless. "Curious strategy." "I seek guidance, not confrontation," Hera replied carefully. "And yet you wear protections designed to deceive us." Two more women emerged from different curtained alcoves, Lachesis appearing middle-aged with auburn hair, and Atropos elderly with grey locks twisted into a severe bun. Like Clotho, their eyes were solid white. Hera felt a chill. They could see through Naruto's talismans. That wasn't supposed to be possible. "Precautions only," she explained smoothly. "These are uncertain times." "Indeed." Atropos gestured to the central table. "Join us, goddess. We have been expecting you." That wasn't reassuring. Hera took a seat opposite the three Fates, who arranged themselves with choreographed precision. "You seek information about the bindings," Lachesis stated without preamble. "About why they fail and who works against them." "You know what's happening," Hera said, abandoning any pretense. "Are you involved?" The three women exchanged glances, their white eyes somehow conveying communication. "We neither support nor oppose the cosmic balance," Clotho said. "We merely ensure the tapestry of fate unfolds as it must." "That's not an answer," Hera pressed. "It is the only answer we can give." Atropos reached forward, placing gnarled fingers on the crystal ball between them. "The threads are tangled. Old patterns reassert themselves. What was sundered seeks wholeness." "Speak plainly," Hera demanded, a hint of her divine authority slipping through despite the talismans. "Is someone manipulating you?" The temperature in the room dropped suddenly, frost forming on the crystal ball beneath Atropos's fingers. "We cannot be manipulated," Lachesis said coldly. "But we can be convinced." "By whom?" "Kronos? Aurenas? By inevitability." Clotho raised her hands, and glowing threads appeared between her fingers, the literal strings of fate, visible in the mortal realm. "All things must end, Queen of Olympus. All cycles complete themselves. The Primordial who bound the Titans delayed the inevitable, but he cannot prevent it." Hera studied the three beings carefully. Something wasn't right. The Fates operated above pantheon politics, true, but they had always valued order and pattern. What they described now sounded more like chaos. "Show me," Hera challenged. "Show me the pattern you claim is inevitable." The three Fates smiled in perfect unison, an unsettling sight. "As you wish." The crystal ball between them flared with light, projecting images into the air above the table. Hera saw the bindings, all 7 of them, glowing across the globe. Then, one by one, they shattered. Monsters and ancient beings poured forth from each broken seal, spreading across the world. Olympus fell. Other divine realms collapsed. Finally, darkness consumed everything. "This is what you're working toward?" Hera asked, disgusted. "Complete destruction." "Not destruction," Clotho corrected. "Rebirth. From chaos comes new order." "After how many millennia of suffering?" Hera stood, her disgust overwhelming caution. "This isn't the Fates I know. Something has corrupted you." The three women remained seated, their expressions unchanged. "Your talismans fade, goddess," Atropos noted. "Your true nature reveals itself." Hera felt it, the protective magic Naruto had given her was deteriorating rapidly in the Fate's presence. Soon her divine signature would be fully exposed. "Tell the Titan Breaker his time ends," Lachesis said calmly. "The cycle completes. What was bound shall be free." The same message Naruto and Rhea had seen on the Sphinx. Confirmation that the Fates were compromised, or complicit. "I've heard enough." Hera reached for her power, preparing to teleport away. Nothing happened. Her divine abilities felt muffled, blocked. "You cannot leave until we permit it," Clotho informed her, almost apologetic. "Others wish to speak with you." The air behind the Fates shimmered, revealing two shadowy figures taking shape. One radiated cold, ancient power, a presence Hera recognized from history and nightmare. "Grandfather," she said tightly. "Kronos." The figure solidified slightly, not fully corporeal but distinctly present. A handsome face with cruel features, eyes that shifted like timepieces. "Granddaughter," the Titan Lord's voice echoed strangely, as if coming from multiple moments in time simultaneously. "How you've grown. Still playing consort to my usurper son?" "Better than being chopped into pieces and cast into Tartarus," Hera replied coldly. "Though I see you're still working on the whole part of your comeback." Kronos laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Defiant. "You always were my favorite of Zeus's brood. What do you want?" "Cooperation." The second figure spoke, less defined than Kronos but somehow vaster, colder. Its voice was the void between stars. "The cycle turns, goddess. You can position yourself advantageously for what comes next." "Arenas," Hera realized, recognizing the primordial sky god's essence. "You're both still too weak to manifest physically. You're using the Fates as conduits." "Perceptive," Kronos acknowledged. "But soon we won't need intermediaries. When the bindings fail completely, you'll still be facing the combined might of all the world's pantheons," Hera pointed out. "Zeus alone, Zeus is a child playing with borrowed power," Arenas interrupted. "He has never faced true primordial force. None of you have." "Except Naruto," Hera said, watching their reactions carefully. "He bound you both before. He can do it again." The shadows comprising Arenas rippled with what might have been anger. The outsider interfered in cosmic patterns he did not understand. He has no place in this reality. Interesting. They feared Naruto, or at least considered him a serious threat. "Why reveal yourselves to me?" Hera asked, stalling while she assessed her options. The talismans were almost completely faded now, but she'd managed to activate the emergency crystal in her pocket, crushing it subtly during the conversation. "Because you have a choice to make, granddaughter," Kronos said smoothly. "Zeus will fall, that is inevitable. But you need not fall with him. Your power, your divine domain, could expand under the new order. You're offering me a place in your regime." "How generous," Hera's tone made it clear what she thought of the offer. "We offer survival," Arenas corrected. "And purpose. You have been undervalued, underutilized. The goddess of marriage chained to a faithless husband, forced to watch as he elevates lesser beings above you." They were attempting to exploit her well-known grievances with Zeus and Olympian politics. A reasonable strategy, but they underestimated her commitment to cosmic order. "Tempting," Hera lied, feeling the crystal in her pocket grow warm as it transmitted her distress signal. "But I have questions before I consider such an arrangement. For instance, how did you overcome the bindings? They were designed to be permanent." Kronos smiled coldly. "Nothing is permanent. Time erodes all things, even cosmic seals. I simply accelerated the process." "And the connection between the bindings? How did you discover that?" The Titan Lord's smile faltered slightly. "You ask many questions for one being offered salvation. I like to understand business arrangements before entering them," Hera replied smoothly. Before Kronos could respond, the shop door exploded inward, shattered by a surge of golden-red energy. Naruto stood in the doorway, eyes blazing crimson, power radiating from him in visible waves. Rhea was beside him, her own titan energy creating a storm of force. "Sorry to interrupt the family reunion," Naruto said, his voice layered with power. "But I'm reclaiming the Queen of Olympus." The fates rose in unison, their forms shifting, becoming less human and more elemental, raw manifestations of cosmic function. "The pattern is set," they intoned together. "You cannot change it, outsider. Watch me." Naruto flashed forward with impossible speed, appearing beside Hera and placing a hand on her shoulder. "You okay?" "Just peachy," she replied, genuinely relieved to see him. "Though my divine powers are suppressed. Not for long." He pressed something into her palm, a seal tag similar to what he'd used at the Sphinx. "Channel whatever power you can through this." Hera nodded, clutching the tag while Naruto turned to face the shadowy presences behind the fates. "Kronos. Aurenas. Long time no see." His casual tone belied the tension in his stance. "Still sore about the whole imprisonment thing?" "Outsider," Aurenas' voice reverberated with ancient hatred. "You should have remained beyond the veil." "Yeah, I get that a lot," Naruto replied. "But I never was good at staying away from trouble." Kronos stepped forward, his shadowy form rippling. "You cannot stop what's coming. The bindings fail. The network collapses. Even now, your precious seals unravel." "Maybe," Naruto conceded. "But I can sure as hell slow you down." He flashed through hand seals faster than the eye could track, then slammed his palm against the floor. Sealing technique, divine suppression field. The entire shop flooded with golden light, symbols appearing on every surface. The shadowy forms of Kronos and Aurenas visibly recoiled, their connection to the physical world weakening. "Rhea, now!" Naruto shouted. The Titaness raised her hands, chanting in a language older than Greek, the primordial tongue of the Titans. The three fates screamed in unison as their forms were forcibly separated from the shadow gods they'd been channeling. "You fools!" Kronos' voice was fading. "This changes nothing. The cycle completes. What was bound shall be free." Yeah. "We heard you the first time." Naruto grabbed Hera's arm with one hand and reached for Rhea with the other. "Time to go." The fates lunged forward, their forms distorted and monstrous, but too late. Naruto teleported them away in a flash of golden light, leaving behind a shop filled with rapidly fading seal symbols. They rematerialized in Naruto's safehouse dimension, all three breathing heavily from the encounter. Hera staggered slightly, still recovering from having her divine powers suppressed. "That was close," Rhea observed, steadying herself against a wall. "Too close." "They're stronger than they should be," Naruto agreed, his expression troubled. "The fates shouldn't have been able to suppress a major deity like Hera, talismans or not." Hera removed the now useless threads from her hair, feeling her full power returning gradually. "They're being influenced, or possessed, by Kronos and Aurenas. They admitted as much." "Did you learn anything else before we arrived?" Rhea asked. "They're targeting all 7 bindings simultaneously through the network connecting them." Hera looked at Naruto. Kronos said he accelerated the erosion process, using his control over time. Naruto nodded grimly. "Makes sense. The bindings were designed to withstand normal temporal degradation, but direct manipulation by the Titan of Time himself, that's a problem." "They also said something interesting about you." Hera studied Naruto carefully. "Aurenas called you outsider and said you have no place in this reality." "What did he mean?" Naruto and Rhea exchanged glances. "It's complicated," he began. "We don't have time for complicated," Hera interrupted. "Those two entities are literally unraveling reality. I think I deserve the full truth if I'm risking my existence to help you." Naruto sighed, running a hand through his spiky blonde hair. You're right. He gestured to the living area where comfortable seating formed from the floor itself. You might want to sit down for this. Once they were all seated, Naruto closed his eyes, gathering his thoughts. I'm not from this reality, he began simply. I come from a dimension where the cosmic rules are different. Where energy, what I call chakra, works differently. Where humans can develop powers comparable to your gods through training and heredity. Another pantheon? Hera asked. No. A completely different existential framework. In my world, there are no gods as you understand them. There are powerful entities, yes, but they're not worshipped or given dominion over aspects of reality. Then what are you? Hera pressed. I was human, once. A ninja, a warrior with special abilities. But I contained within me an entity of immense power called the nine-tailed fox. Over time, as I mastered that power and faced increasingly dangerous threats, I evolved. He ascended, Rhea clarified. Became something beyond human, beyond even the chakra entities of his world. And I attracted attention, Naruto continued. Cosmic attention. Entities that existed between dimensions noticed me, studied me. Eventually, one of them, a being that called itself the Dimensional Overseer, approached me with a problem. Let me guess, Hera said. Our dimension. Naruto nodded. Reality is a complex, interconnected system. When one dimension experiences significant instability, it can affect others. Your world, this reality, was experiencing a cosmic war that threatened to spill across dimensional boundaries. The Titanomachy, Rhea said quietly. The war between Titans and the younger gods. But that was just a symptom of a deeper problem, Naruto explained. Certain primordial forces, Arenas, Apophis, others, were manipulating cosmic energies in ways that were creating dimensional tears. The Overseer asked me to help stabilize this reality. So you came here and started imprisoning Titans, Hera summarized. Not immediately. I observed first, tried to understand the nature of your reality. I met Rhea during that time. He glanced at the Titaness with a fond expression. She was one of the few Titans who understood the danger the others were causing. I saw beyond our petty power struggles, Rhea confirmed. My husband Kronos had become obsessed with maintaining control, preventing prophecy, manipulating time itself. It was creating dangerous instabilities. Eventually, I had to act, Naruto continued. I created a system of bindings, cosmic prisons designed to contain the most dangerous entities while allowing the natural divine evolution of this world to continue. And once you finished, you left, Hera stated, connecting the pieces. For 5,000 years. Naruto had the grace to look embarrassed. I intended to monitor from a distance, intervene only if necessary. But time works differently across dimensions. What felt like a brief period to me was millennia here. And now everything you built is failing, Hera observed. Convenient timing. Not convenience, deliberate attack, Rhea corrected. Someone has been planning this for a very long time, patiently working to undermine Naruto's bindings. But why? Hera asked. What do Kronos and Arenas gain from cosmic destruction? Rebirth, Naruto said grimly. They believe they can reshape reality after its collapse, position themselves as the ruling powers of whatever emerges from the chaos. Can they actually do that? Possibly. Primordials have a connection to the fundamental fabric of existence that even the Olympians don't possess. In a state of cosmic flux, they would have advantages. Hera processed this information, her expression unreadable. So the fate of all reality rests on us stopping them by reinforcing these bindings before they completely fail. In a nutshell, yeah. Naruto leaned forward. I know it's a lot to take in. I know I'm asking you to trust someone who's essentially a dimensional interloper with a spotty attendance record. But right now, we're the only ones who understand what's really happening. Hera was quiet for a long moment, her regal features contemplative. Finally, she nodded. Zeus would never believe any of this. He's too invested in the myth of his own supremacy to accept that someone else imprisoned Kronos or that threats exist beyond his comprehension. She straightened, decision made. I'm still with you. What's our next move? Relief washed over Naruto's face. We need to prioritize the most critical bindings. I've temporarily reinforced the Sphinx, but that won't hold for long. Atlas's prison is stabilized for now. That leaves 5 others, each containing entities as dangerous as Apophis. Can we reinforce them all in time? Rhea asked. Not individually, Naruto admitted. But there might be another way. The network connecting them, the same network Kronos is using to attack them simultaneously, could potentially be used to reinforce them all at once. From where? Hera asked. The nexus point. The central connection where all the binding energies converge. Naruto stood, moving to a wall that transformed into a global map at his touch. Here. Delphi. The Oracle. Hera was surprised. That's your central binding point? The Oracle came after. It was drawn to the cosmic power already present at the site. Naruto traced lines on the map, showing how energy flowed from 7 points around the world, converging at Delphi. If we can access the nexus, we can potentially reset the entire network at once. Potentially, Rhea noted. You don't sound certain. Because I'm not. This is theoretical. I designed the network to be self-sustaining, not to be manually reset. Naruto ran a hand through his hair in frustration. It's like trying to reboot a computer system I built 5 millennia ago without the original source code. Then we need the source code, Hera stated simply. Where is it? Naruto and Rhea exchanged glances again. It's not a physical thing, he explained. The source code is the original binding formula, the specific configuration of cosmic energy I used to create the network. It exists in only one place. Your mind, Hera realized. Not exactly. When I created the bindings, I was in a specific state of consciousness, a perfect merge between my human self and the chakra entity I contained. I haven't accessed that state in thousands of years. So you need to, what? Meditate? Perform a ritual? Hera asked. I need to reconnect with the Nine Tails fully, which is complicated since I've been suppressing that connection during my time away. Naruto looked troubled. It's not without risks. That level of power concentration will act like a beacon, alerting Kronos and Uranus to our plans. Then we need a distraction, Rhea suggested. Something to occupy their attention while you reconnect with your power. And we need to defend Delphi, Hera added. Once they realize what we're attempting, they'll throw everything they have at the nexus point. Naruto nodded slowly, a plan forming. Hera, can you convince any of the Olympians to help without revealing the full situation? Possibly. Hermes already knows something is happening. Artemis might help without asking too many questions. Athena would demand complete information. Try Artemis, Naruto decided. We need defenders who can maintain distance. Archer goddesses are perfect for that. And me? Rhea asked. You're with me, Naruto said. You've seen me access the Nine Tails before. You can help guide me back to that state. Hera stood, straightening her clothing with a gesture. I'll contact Artemis immediately. How much time do we have before we need to move on Delphi? 12 hours, Naruto estimated. The temporary binding on the Sphinx won't hold longer than that. When it fails, the others will weaken exponentially. Then we meet here in 11 hours, Hera decided. Ready or not, that's our window. As Hera disappeared in a flash of golden light, Naruto turned to Rhea, his expression serious. You know what this really means, right? For me to fully access that power again after so long. Rhea nodded soberly. It might be a one-way trip. You could lose yourself in it. Yeah. Naruto stared at his hands, flexing them slowly. But we're out of options. There's always another way. Rhea placed her hand over his. We'll find it together. For the first time since returning, Naruto allowed himself to really look at her, to see the ancient Titaness who had stood with him against her own kind millennia ago. Despite everything, her eyes held the same unwavering strength he remembered. I missed you, he admitted quietly. More than I realized. Rhea's expression softened. Then let's make sure you stick around this time. The world is more interesting with you in it. Naruto nodded, squeezing her hand before turning toward a door that hadn't existed a moment before. We need to prepare. The meditation chamber is through here. He paused, looking back at her with a hint of his old mischievous smile. Fair warning, reconnecting with a nine-tailed fox demon isn't exactly a peaceful meditation experience. Things might get loud. After raising 6 godly children including Zeus, Rhea replied dryly, I think I can handle a little noise. Together, they entered the chamber, the door sealing behind them as the first stage of their desperate plan began. Chapter 2, Divine Politics. Red chakra swirled around Naruto like angry storm clouds, lashing against the meditation chamber's reinforced walls. His body hovered 3 feet off the floor, suspended by pure energy as he fought to reconnect with the Nine-Tails. Sweat poured down his face, his features contorted in concentration. You're fighting it, Rhea observed from her position at the edge of the chamber. You need to surrender to the connection, not control it. Easier said than done, Naruto grunted through clenched teeth. Kurama isn't exactly cooperative after being suppressed for millennia. Another surge of chakra exploded outward, cracking one of the chamber's walls before Naruto managed to pull it back. Inside his mindscape, he stood before massive gates behind which glowed 2 enormous, slitted red eyes. You abandoned me, the Nine-Tails growled, its voice shaking Naruto's inner world. Left me dormant while you played cosmic tourist. I needed space, Naruto replied calmly. From everything. Even you. And now you need my power. The fox's laugh rumbled like an earthquake. Convenient. The world needs our power, Naruto corrected. Just like before. The massive fox slammed against the gates, making them shudder. Why should I care? This isn't even our reality. Because if this reality falls, ours follows. The dimensional barriers are connected. Naruto approached the gates, placing his hand against them. We're connected. We always have been. The fox fell silent, its massive eyes studying Naruto. Then, unexpectedly, it chuckled. 5,000 years, and you're still an idealistic fool. Some things never change, Naruto agreed with a small smile. In the physical world, Rhea watched as the chaotic energy suddenly stabilized, forming a distinctive silhouette around Naruto, a massive fox with 9 tails. His appearance changed, becoming more feral, elongated canines, deeper whisker marks, and eyes that glowed with primordial power. Naruto, she called cautiously. He turned to her, a grin spreading across his face that was both familiar and alien. When he spoke, his voice carried dual tones, his own and something deeper, ancient. We are reconnected, he said. Not fully merged yet, but it's a start. Rhea approached slowly. How does it feel? Like remembering how to breathe after holding my breath for centuries. He flexed his hands, watching as chakra claws formed and dissipated. Kurama's still mad at me, but he understands the stakes. Will this be enough to reset the bindings? Naruto shook his head. No. This is just the beginning. I need to fully merge with him, reach the 6 paths sage mode I used when creating the original bindings. That will take more time. A tremor shook the pocket dimension, causing both of them to steady themselves. Which we don't have much of, Rhea noted grimly. The barriers between dimensions are already thinning. Naruto nodded, the fox-shaped chakra cloak fading as he brought his power under control. Let's check on Hera's progress. We need to move on Delphi soon. Artemis wasn't pleased. The moon goddess paced the small clearing in the forests outside Delphi, her silver hunting clothes gleaming in the moonlight. Her bow, made from actual moonbeams solidified into weapon form, was slung across her back, and her expression was one of barely contained irritation. "Let me understand this correctly," she said to Hera. "You want me to defend the oracle without telling Zeus, based on a vague threat you can't fully explain, alongside allies you refuse to identify?" "That's accurate," Hera replied calmly, standing regally despite the woodland setting. "I wouldn't ask if it weren't vital to Olympus's survival." Artemis stopped pacing to study her stepmother. Unlike most Olympians, she maintained a cordial relationship with Hera, partly because she had never been a target of the queen's jealousy. "This isn't like you," Artemis observed. "Secret missions? Circumventing Zeus? Working with unknown entities? You're usually the one enforcing divine protocol, not breaking it. Circumstances change. Priorities adapt." Hera gestured toward Delphi, visible in the distance. "Something is coming for the oracle, something that predates Olympus itself." "Titans?" Artemis guessed. "And worse." Artemis considered this, absently adjusting her bow. Hermes mentioned strange energy at Mount Tamalpay. Atlas straining against his burden. Connected events. "And my hunters?" Artemis asked, referring to her immortal band of maiden followers. "You said to leave them behind. They're my most trusted warriors. This situation requires discretion. Fewer witnesses." Artemis's silver eyes narrowed. "You're hiding something significant." "Yes," Hera admitted without apology. "For good reason." The goddess of the hunt studied the forest around them, her senses detecting nothing amiss, which was itself unusual. The woods were too quiet, as if the natural world held its breath in anticipation. "Zeus will be furious when he discovers whatever this is," Artemis finally said. "When, not if." Hera raised an eyebrow. "Let's not pretend. My father always discovers secrets eventually." Artemis unsung her bow, running her fingers along its perfect curve. "But his anger doesn't concern me. The safety of the wild places and the creatures under my protection does. If there's a threat to cosmic order." "There is," Hera confirmed. "A significant one." Artemis nodded once, decision made. "Then I'll help. But I want the full truth when this is over." "You'll have it," Hera promised. "One way or another, everyone will." A flash of golden light interrupted them as a portal opened in the clearing. Naruto stepped through, followed by Rhea. Artemis instantly knocked an arrow, drawing her bow in one fluid motion and aiming at the newcomers. "Titans," she hissed, her gaze locked on Rhea. "Allies," Hera corrected firmly, stepping between them. "Lower your bow, Artemis." The moon goddess didn't move. "That's Rhea, mother of Zeus. A Titaness." "And my mother as well," Hera reminded her. "Not all Titans opposed Olympus." "And the blonde?" Artemis demanded, her arrow still trained on them. "That's..." Hera hesitated, unsure how to explain Naruto. "I'm the Titan Breaker," Naruto said simply, unafraid of the arrow pointed at his heart. "The one who actually imprisoned Atlas and Kronos." "Nice to meet you." Artemis's perfect composure faltered. "Impossible. Zeus defeated the Titans." "Zeus defeated already weakened Titans," Rhea corrected gently. "After Naruto bound their powers. This is why secrecy was necessary," Hera explained. "The truth contradicts 5,000 years of Olympian history." Artemis lowered her bow slightly, confusion and suspicion warring in her expression. "Prove it," she challenged Naruto. "Prove you're this Titan Breaker." Naruto grinned, his eyes flashing red momentarily. Without warning, he vanished in a burst of speed, reappearing behind Artemis before she could react. He didn't touch her, simply cleared his throat to make her spin around. I could have taken your bow, he noted. But that would have been rude. Artemis's eyes widened. No one moved faster than she did, it was part of her divine domain as a huntress. That doesn't prove you imprison titans, she said, recovering quickly. Just that you're fast. Fair enough. Naruto raised his hand, forming a small ball of swirling energy, a Rasengan no bigger than an apple. See that boulder over there? Watch. He flicked the tiny Rasengan toward a massive boulder at the edge of the clearing. Upon contact, the boulder didn't just shatter, it disintegrated into dust, leaving nothing behind. That was condensed spacetime manipulation, Naruto explained casually. The same technique I used to create dimensional prisons for the Titans, just on a smaller scale. Artemis stared at the empty space where the boulder had been, then back at Naruto. Why have I never heard of you? Because Zeus is an insecure glory hound who rewrote history to make himself the hero, Naruto replied bluntly. No offense, he added, glancing at Hera. None taken, she replied dryly. His assessment is accurate, if impolitely phrased. Artemis turned to Rhea. Is he telling the truth? The Titaness nodded. I witnessed it all. The Olympian version of the Titanomachy is, creatively edited. The moon goddess absorbed this, her tactical mind reassessing everything she thought she knew. Finally, she secured her bow across her back. What exactly are we defending the oracle against? She asked, accepting the situation with a hunter's pragmatism. Kronos and Auranas are attempting to break free of their bindings, Hera explained. They've already compromised the fates and are systematically attacking cosmic prisons around the world. And Delphi is, what? Their next target? Delphi is the nexus point, Naruto explained. Where all the binding energies converge. We need to access that nexus to reinforce the entire network at once, before the individual bindings fail completely. Artemis processed this information with remarkable calm. And Zeus doesn't know because he'd interfere, claim authority over a system he doesn't understand, and probably make things worse, Naruto summarized. Also accurate, Hera agreed. So the four of us are supposed to stop two of the most powerful primordial entities in existence. Artemis didn't sound skeptical so much as she was clarifying the mission parameters. 3 primordials, Naruto corrected. I'm not exactly from around here, but in your terms, I'd qualify. Artemis studied him with renewed interest. You don't feel like a primordial. I'm dampening my signature, he explained. Full power would draw attention we don't want yet. Enough exposition, Rhea interrupted. We're losing time. The Sphinx binding is already critically unstable. Naruto nodded, turning toward Delphi. We need to move. Artemis, your job is perimeter defense. Keep anything that doesn't belong away from the Oracle's temple while we work inside. What exactly might attack? The goddess asked. Anything from minor monsters to corrupted gods, Rhea answered grimly. The fates are compromised, which means prophecy itself is compromised. Traditional divine limitations may not apply. Fantastic, Artemis muttered, but she nodded acceptance of her role. I can handle the perimeter. Let's go, Naruto said, already moving toward Delphi with purpose. And stay alert. Nothing about this mission will be simple. The ancient site of Delphi slumbered peacefully under the waning moon, unaware of the cosmic drama about to unfold within its boundaries. The archaeological park was closed to tourists at this hour, leaving the ruins silent and empty, physically, at least. Spiritually, the place hummed with ancient power. As they approached the temple of Apollo where the oracle had once prophesied, Naruto felt the nexus pulsing beneath his feet. The convergence point of his binding network remained intact, but he could sense the strain on it, like rope fibers stretching to their breaking point. The oracle hasn't resided here for centuries, Hera noted as they entered the ruined temple. Not since the rise of Christianity diminished our direct influence. The oracle was never what mattered, Naruto replied, moving directly to the center of the ancient sanctuary. It was drawn here by the power that was already present. He knelt, placing his palm against the stone floor. Chakra flowed from his hand, illuminating hidden seals that had been carved into the foundation stones thousands of years ago. The markings glowed blue, then red as they recognized his energy signature. There, he murmured. Still active. Artemis watched with fascination. These symbols, they're not Greek. They're from my world, Naruto explained, continuing to activate sections of the massive seal array. A written language specifically designed for energy manipulation. As more seals activated, the air in the temple grew heavy with power. Reality seemed to thin, the ruins simultaneously appearing as they were now and as they had been in their prime, columns restored, roof intact, colors vibrant. Time displacement, Rhea observed. The nexus exists outside normal temporal flow. It has to, Naruto confirmed. Otherwise it couldn't maintain connections across different cosmic epochs. He worked methodically, moving from one section of the temple to another, awakening dormant sections of the binding network. As he worked, the others took positions around the temple, Artemis at the entrance with her bow ready, Rhea near an inner chamber with her hands raised in preparation for Titan magic, and Hera at the opposite side of the central altar, her divine power creating a protective barrier around their position. How long will this take? Hera asked, sensing a growing disturbance in the divine frequencies she monitored as Queen of Olympus. Activating the nexus. Minutes, Naruto replied, finishing another section of seals. Creating a new binding formula to reset the network. That's the complicated part. As if responding to his words, the ground trembled beneath them. Not an earthquake, something deeper, more fundamental. Reality itself shuddering. They've noticed, Rhea warned. We're running out of time. Naruto nodded grimly. I need to enter Sage mode now. It's the only way. What do you need from us? Hera asked. Defend this position. No matter what comes, I can't be interrupted once I begin. Naruto moved to the exact center of the temple, where a circular depression in the floor marked the oracle's ancient seat. This will get intense. He sat cross-legged, placing his hands in a complex seal position. Almost immediately, golden-red energy began to emanate from him in waves, forming the outline of the nine tails around his body. Kurama, he called within his mindscape. It's time for a full merge. The massive fox regarded him from behind the mental gates, its expression unreadable. You realize what this means, after so long apart. The merging may be permanent this time. I know, Naruto replied solemnly. I'm ready. The gates between them dissolved, and the nine tails surged forward, its chakra flooding Naruto's system like a tsunami of power. In the physical world, his appearance began to transform, his skin glowing with golden light, black markings appearing across his body, and 9 truth-seeking orbs materializing behind him. 6 paths Sage mode, Rhea whispered, recognizing the transformation from millennia ago. Artemis stared in awe. His power level, it's beyond anything I've felt before. Beyond even Zeus. Now we protect him, Hera stated firmly. Whatever it takes. The timing of her words proved prescient. As Naruto's transformation completed, the air outside the temple darkened unnaturally. Stars winked out, replaced by a void that seemed to swallow light itself. They're here, Artemis reported, her voice steady despite the eldritch horror unfolding before them. She knocked an arrow of pure moonlight, aiming at the advancing darkness. Sooner than expected. They felt his power awakening, Rhea explained, her own Titan energy forming a protective aura around her. Primordials are sensitive to each other's movements. The darkness coalesced into humanoid shapes, dozens of them, surrounding the temple. They weren't fully physical, more like three-dimensional shadows with vaguely Greek features. Ancient warriors, mythological monsters, and corrupted nature spirits, all formed from the same cosmic darkness. Shadow Legion, Hera identified. Aurena's specialty. Soldiers created from the void between stars. Artemis loosed her first arrow without hesitation. It streaked through the night, blazing with silver light, and struck the nearest shadow warrior. The creature screeched, a sound like metal tearing, before dissolving back into darkness. "They can be destroyed," she confirmed, already firing again. "But there are many." The Shadow Legion surged forward, moving with unnatural speed across the archaeological site. Artemis's arrows picked off the leaders, each shot finding its mark with divine precision, but more kept coming. "They're just the vanguard," Rhea warned, raising her hands. The earth around the temple responded to her command, stone fragments rising to form a crude barrier. Something bigger is controlling them. Inside the temple, Naruto sat unmoving, deep in communion with cosmic forces. His physical form radiated golden light so intense that looking directly at him was like staring at the sun. The seals across the temple floor pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, sending waves of energy outward through the binding network. Hera closed her eyes, extending her awareness beyond the immediate battle. As Queen of Olympus, she had a connection to all divine workings within Greek territory. What she sensed chilled her. "The Pantheon is in chaos," she reported. "Divine sensors are going haywire across all realms. Zeus is mobilizing forces toward Mount Olympus, thinking it's under attack." "Good," Rhea said grimly. "It keeps him distracted." A shadow warrior breached Artemis's perimeter, moving faster than the others. The moon goddess switched from bow to hunting knives in an instant, meeting the creature with blinding speed. Silver blades slashed through darkness, dissipating the threat, but more followed. "We're going to be overrun," she called, retreating toward the temple entrance while continuing to fight. "There are too many." Hera stepped forward, her regal composure unbroken despite the chaos. "Then it's time to remind them why I'm queen." She raised her hands, and the air around her shimmered with power. Being goddess of marriage didn't sound impressive in combat, but Hera's domain went deeper. She represented the bonds between beings, the connections that formed the fabric of society. And she could sever those bonds as easily as she could strengthen them. "By my authority as Queen of Olympus," she intoned, her voice carrying supernatural weight, "I break the bonds between you and your master." Golden light erupted from her hands, washing over the Shadow Legion. Where it touched, the creatures faltered, their connection to the controlling darkness weakened. Some dissipated entirely, while others moved erratically, no longer coordinated. "Impressive," Rhea acknowledged, using the reprieve to strengthen their stone barricades. "But not permanent. Their bonds to our Aenas are primordial, older than your authority." "I don't need permanent," Hera replied, the effort of maintaining the bond breaking clearly taxing her. "Just long enough." Inside the temple, Naruto's consciousness expanded beyond the physical realm. In his merged state with Kurama, he perceived the binding network in its entirety, 7 major nexus points connected by threads of cosmic energy, all converging at Delphi. He could see the damage now, the weakening connections, the fraying cosmic fabric. "It's worse than we thought," Kurama's voice rumbled within their shared consciousness. "The entire network is on the verge of collapse." "Then we rebuild it," Naruto replied, his will and the fox's united in purpose. "Not just repair, strengthen." They began the complex process of reformulating the binding seals, reimagining the network to withstand the attacks being leveled against it. This wasn't just patching holes, it was creating an entirely new framework while preserving the essential functions of the original. Outside, the battle intensified. Hera's power had slowed the Shadow Legion, but now something else approached, a cold presence that made the air crystallize with frost. "Kronos," Rhea identified, her expression hardening. "My husband comes." The darkness parted, revealing a tall figure striding toward the temple. Unlike the Shadow Warriors, this being had substance, a handsome man with cruel features, wearing ancient Greek armor that shifted through different historical styles as if time couldn't decide which era he belonged to. His eyes were golden hourglasses, constantly turning, sands falling upward rather than down. "Wife," he greeted Rhea, his voice echoing strangely as if speaking from multiple moments simultaneously. How kind of you to await my arrival. I didn't miss you in Tartarus, Kronos, Rhea replied coldly. I won't miss you when you return there. The Titan Lord laughed, the sound distorting reality around him. Always defiant. It's why you were my favorite wife. I was your only wife, she corrected. And your biggest mistake. Kronos' expression darkened. Hiding Zeus from me? Yes, quite the error in judgment. No, Rhea's power flared, her eyes glowing with Titan energy. Thinking I would stand by while you devoured our children. That was your mistake. Artemis moved to flank the Titan Lord, her bow drawn and aimed at his heart. You're not fully reformed, she observed clinically. Still partly incorporeal. Interesting. Artemis, Kronos acknowledged without looking at her. My granddaughter. The virgin huntress. Has Zeus tired of you already, that he sends you on suicide missions? I'm here by choice, Artemis replied, unfazed by his taunting. And I'm curious, how do Titan Lords fare against moonlight arrows? Let's not find out prematurely. Kronos raised his hand, and time slowed around Artemis, her movements becoming sluggish, the arrow she released crawling through the air at a fraction of normal speed. Child's play, he smirked, easily sidestepping the slowed projectile. And what about me? Hera challenged, stepping forward. Am I a child too, grandfather? Kronos turned his hourglass eyes toward her. The dutiful queen. Tell me, how is my ungrateful son treating his marriage vows these days? Better than you treated your children, she replied smoothly, unaffected by the barb. Ah, but I offered you alliance, Kronos reminded her. Power beyond Zeus's imagining. Yet here you stand, defending the system that diminishes you. I defend order against chaos, Hera corrected. Something you never understood. Kronos laughed again. Order. Is that what you call it? The petty squabbling of Olympus? The endless divine affairs and vendettas? You've mistaken structure for order, granddaughter. While the Titan Lord was engaged with Hera, Rhea moved subtly, her hands weaving Titan magic, older and more primal than Olympian power. The stones around them began to resonate with her energy. Enough talk, Kronos declared, apparently tiring of the conversation. The outsider must be stopped. He waved his hand, and the time distortion around Artemis released suddenly, sending the goddess stumbling forward as her movements returned to normal speed. Before she could recover, Kronos was already advancing toward the temple entrance. You shall not pass, Hera stated, positioning herself directly in his path. Her divine aura intensified, golden light radiating from her form. Moving you is trivial, Kronos replied, reaching toward her with time manipulation energy swirling around his fingers. What happened next surprised even Artemis. Hera caught his wrist. The queen of Olympus's power manifested differently than most gods. Where Zeus had lightning and Poseidon had water, Hera's domain was more abstract, bonds, connections, commitments. But in that moment, she revealed why she was queen. My authority comes from the cosmic order itself, she stated, her voice resonating with power. The same order that you violated, Titan. You are oath-breaker, child-devourer, husband most false. With each accusation, Kronos' form wavered, as if the words themselves had physical impact. Hera's grip on his wrist tightened, golden energy spreading from her fingers onto his semi-corporeal form. You dare, he began, but Hera wasn't finished. I name you forsworn, she declared, and cosmic power surged through the word. And by that naming, I bind you. The golden energy exploded outward, forming chains of light that wrapped around Kronos' form. He roared in rage and pain, struggling against bonds formed from his own broken oaths and violations of natural law. Now! Hera shouted to Rhea. The Titaness brought her hands together in a thunderous clap. The stones she'd been quietly enchanting responded, rising from the ground and encasing Kronos in a prison of earth and ancient magic. Mother, he snarled through the encroaching stone. You betray me again. No betrayal, Rhea replied calmly. Just consequences, husband. Long overdue. The stone prison closed around him completely, Hera's golden chains visible through cracks as they continued to bind the Titan Lord within. The construct shuddered violently as Kronos raged inside, but held firm. Artemis stared at the two goddesses in astonishment. That was unexpected. It won't hold him long, Hera cautioned, already looking exhausted from the effort. His time powers will eventually erode both the stone and my bindings. It doesn't need to hold forever, Rhea reminded her. Just long enough. Inside the temple, Naruto and Kurama reached a critical juncture in their work. They had reformulated the binding network, creating a more resilient structure that could adapt to attacks rather than merely resist them. Now came the dangerous part, implementing the changes through the entire cosmic web simultaneously. This will alert every primordial being in existence, Kurama warned. The power surge will be visible across dimensions. Can't be helped, Naruto replied. It's all or nothing now. They began channeling energy through the newly designed network, lighting up the seals across the temple floor with blinding intensity. The power built rapidly, flowing outward toward the 7 binding sites around the world. Outside, the stone prison containing Kronos suddenly shattered, releasing the Titan Lord in a blast of temporal energy that knocked all 3 goddesses backward. Kronos emerged, his form more substantial than before, hourglass eyes burning with fury. Enough, he roared, his voice cracking reality around them. Arenas. The time is now. The darkness surrounding Delphi contracted suddenly, drawing inward like water down a drain. It coalesced above the temple, forming a vast face in the night sky, features so ancient they predated Greek conception, eyes formed from the void between stars. Arenas had arrived. The outsider attempts to rebuild his prison, the primordial sky god's voice reverberated through reality itself. Stop him, son of mine. With pleasure, Kronos replied, all pretense of humanity dropping from his demeanor. He raised both hands, and the fabric of time began to warp around the temple. Let's see how he functions when I accelerate his time stream to dust. The air around the temple shimmered as temporal manipulation took effect. Inside, Naruto felt the attack immediately, like his body was simultaneously aging and disintegrating. Kurama, he called internally. I feel it, the Nine Tails responded, already adjusting their shared chakra to resist the temporal assault. This is beyond anything we've faced. Outside, Hera struggled to her feet, watching in horror as the temple stones began to crumble under Kronos' attack, aging centuries in seconds. We need to break his concentration, she told Artemis and Rhea. Disrupt the temporal field. My arrows can't penetrate that level of time distortion, Artemis reported, having already tried. Her projectiles slowed to immobility before reaching their target. Then we try something else, Rhea said grimly. She turned to Hera. Your binding trick, can you do it again? Target the connection between Kronos and Arenas? Hera considered, then nodded. Not as strongly as before, but yes. I need a direct line to both of them. I'll create one, Rhea promised. She closed her eyes, calling upon her deepest Titan magic, power that came from being daughter of Gaia and Arenas, wife of Kronos. Father. Husband. Your quarrel is with me. Her voice carried supernatural weight, demanding recognition from both primordials. It was a summoning no Titan could ignore, the calling of blood and oaths. Both entities turned their attention toward her momentarily. It was enough. Hera seized the opening, thrusting her hands forward and channeling her remaining divine energy. By the bonds of family and fealty, I reveal the truth of your alliance. Golden light shot from her palms, striking both Kronos and the massive face of Arenas simultaneously. Unlike her previous binding, this was an exposure, forcing cosmic transparency between the two entities. The effect was immediate and unexpected. Kronos recoiled from his father, temporal energy dissipating around him. Aurena's massive face contorted in what appeared to be pain. Betrayer. Aurena's boomed. You would use me and discard me again? Father, she deceives you, Kronos began, but it was too late. Hera's power had revealed the truth of their arrangement, that Kronos intended to absorb Aurena's essence once the bindings were broken, using his father's primordial power to establish himself as supreme deity. You shattered me once, child, Aurena's raged. Never again. The darkness comprising the sky god's manifestation surged downward, engulfing Kronos in shadow stuff. The Titan Lord fought back, temporal energy slashing through the shadows, but he was clearly outmatched by the older entity. Now. Artemis called, recognizing their chance. She fired a volley of moonlight arrows into the chaotic battle between the two primordials, each shot precisely targeted to disrupt their energy patterns rather than cause direct damage. Inside the temple, Naruto felt the temporal attack cease. They're distracted. Now, Kurama. Together, they channeled the full force of their combined power through the reformulated binding network. Golden-red energy erupted from the temple, shooting skyward in 7 distinct beams that arced across the globe toward each binding site. The power surge was catastrophic in its intensity. The temple stones vibrated at atomic frequency, ancient columns that had stood for millennia disintegrating under the strain. The ground beneath them cracked, fissures spreading outward across the archaeological site. It's working, Rhea observed, watching the energy beams connect with distant points around the world. The network is re-establishing. The battle between Kronos and Aurena's paused as both entities sensed the cosmic restructuring taking place. Their forms separated, both turning toward the temple with expressions of fury and disbelief. Impossible. Aurena's roared. No single entity has that much power. He's not single, Rhea corrected, a note of pride in her voice. He's never been alone. Inside the temple, Naruto/Kurama completed the final seal sequence. The binding network locked into place with a sound like reality itself sighing in relief. The 7 energy beams intensified one last time, then vanished, their work complete. The newly reinforced cosmic bindings immediately began affecting Kronos and Aurena's. Their partially reformed bodies started dissolving, pulled back toward their respective prisons. No. Kronos raged, fighting the pull with everything he had. I will not return to darkness. You have no choice, Hera stated, watching impassively as the Titan Lord's form destabilized. The natural order reasserts itself. Aurena's, surprisingly, seemed less resistant. His massive face regarded them all with ancient malevolence, but also a strange acceptance. This is not the outsider, he called toward the temple. Merely a postponement. Cycles always complete. Then the primordial sky god dissolved completely, his darkness scattered to the winds, pulled back to whatever dimensional prison had held him for millennia. Kronos fought longer, his time manipulation abilities allowing him to resist the binding's pull. He managed to stabilize his form enough to lock eyes with Rhea one last time. This isn't over, wife, he promised, his voice fading as his body unraveled. Your precious outsider cannot protect you forever. Then he too was gone, leaving behind nothing but a lingering sense of temporal distortion that quickly faded. For a moment, all was silent at Delphi. Then Artemis lowered her bow, looking toward the temple with concern. Is it done? She asked. Before anyone could answer, the temple ruins exploded in a final surge of golden light. When it faded, Naruto was standing in the doorway, no longer glowing with 6 paths power but clearly exhausted. He staggered forward a few steps before his legs gave out. Rhea reached him first, catching him before he could collapse completely. Naruto. Are you alright? He managed a weak smile, his eyes briefly flashing red before returning to blue. Define alright. Hera approached more cautiously, studying him with a mixture of concern and wary respect. The bindings? Did it work? Yeah, Naruto confirmed, allowing Rhea to help him sit on a fallen column. New and improved cosmic prison system, now with adaptive security features. They won't break free the same way again. But they could find another way, Artemis noted shrewdly. Eventually, probably, Naruto admitted. Nothing's permanent in a multiverse this complex. But we've bought significant time, centuries at least. Hera looked around at the devastated archaeological site, ancient ruins now further ruined by cosmic battle. Explaining this to the Greek authorities will be challenging. Mist manipulation should handle the mortals, Artemis suggested, referring to the magical veil that obscured divine activity from human perception. Though Zeus will be another matter entirely. I'll handle Zeus, Hera stated with finality. He'll be too busy taking credit for averting a Titan incursion to ask too many questions. Rhea smiled knowingly. You understand my son well. After millennia of marriage, I should hope so. Hera turned her attention back to Naruto. And you? What happens now? It was the question hanging unspoken between them all. With the immediate threat contained, what would the dimensional traveler do? Stay. Return to his pocket dimension. Disappear for another 5,000 years. Naruto looked down at his hands, flexing them experimentally. I need to monitor the new binding network, make sure it stabilizes properly. That will take time. How much time? Rhea asked, the question casual but her tone revealing deeper concern. Weeks, at least. Maybe months. He looked up, meeting her gaze directly. I'm not disappearing again, if that's what you're asking. Relief flashed across her features before she composed herself. Good. The network needs proper maintenance this time. And proper defenders who understand it, Hera added meaningfully. The knowledge of what happened here, what you created, it can't remain secret indefinitely. No, Naruto agreed. It can't. Especially not from the powers governing this realm. He gave her a knowing look. I assume you'll want to brief the Olympian Council. Not immediately, Hera decided after a moment's consideration. First, we secure what we've accomplished. Then we determine how much truth the gods are ready to handle. Artemis, who had been scanning the area to ensure no threats remained, rejoined them. Dawn approaches. We should leave before the first tourists arrive. Where to? Rhea asked. Olympus would be complicated at present. My safe house dimension still stands, Naruto offered. It's not luxurious, but it's secure. It will suffice for now, Hera agreed. We all need rest and recovery before facing whatever comes next. Naruto nodded, rising to his feet with more steadiness than before. Fair warning, Kurama and I are still fully merged. He'll be commenting on things. The Nine-Tails speaks through you? Artemis asked, fascinated despite herself. More like with me. In my head mostly, but sometimes I take over when the KIT is being particularly dense. Naruto's voice suddenly deepened, his eyes flashing red. Greetings, goddesses. Impressive fighting back there. Artemis instinctively raised her bow before realizing the shift wasn't hostile. Peace, Huntress, Kurama/Naruto said with a fanged grin. I'm on your side. Mostly because this idiot host of mine insists on saving realities that aren't even ours. Kurama, Rhea greeted the fox entity with remarkable calm. Still complaining about everything, I see. Tetanus. The fox inclined their shared head respectfully. Still cleaning up after your husband's messes, I see. Some things never change, she agreed with a small smile. Hera observed this exchange with raised eyebrows. You're familiar with both of them? Rhea was there during the original binding creation, Naruto explained, apparently back in control. She met Kurama when I had to fully manifest his power. And Nesuchi wasn't even intimidated, Kurama's voice added with what sounded like grudging respect. Unlike most who encounter a bijou for the first time. It takes more than enormous chakra foxes to frighten a mother of gods, Rhea replied dryly. Their banter was interrupted by a distant rumble of thunder, too localized and purposeful to be natural. Zeus, Hera identified, looking skyward. He's noticed something happened here. Time to go, Naruto decided, opening a portal to his pocket dimension. Ladies first. Artemis hesitated. I should report to my hunters. They'll be concerned by my absence. Go, Hera told her. Tell them only what they need to know. We'll contact you soon. The moon goddess nodded. I expect a full explanation eventually, she reminded them before dissolving into silver moonlight, departing for her own realm. Rhea stepped through the portal without hesitation, familiar with the destination. Hera lingered momentarily, looking back at the devastation their battle had caused. Delphi has seen worse, Naruto assured her, mistaking her hesitation for concern about the site. It's not that, she replied. I'm considering what comes next. The politics of this will be challenging. You're good at challenging. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. Flattery again. Just observation. Naruto gestured to the portal. After you, your majesty. Hera stepped through, and Naruto followed, the portal closing behind them just as lightning struck the spot where they'd been standing, Zeus's divine calling card arriving moments too late. Naruto's pocket dimension had reconfigured itself while they were gone, expanding to accommodate multiple occupants more comfortably. The main living space now featured several distinct areas, a planning table with a holographic display of the binding network, comfortable seating arranged for conversation, and private chambers accessible through doors that adjusted their destinations based on who approached them. Convenient, Hera noted, examining the space with interest. Your dimension responds to needs. It's partly sentient, Naruto explained, collapsing onto one of the couches. An extension of my own consciousness, shaped by intent rather than physical construction. Rhea emerged from examining one of the doorways. You've upgraded since I was last here. The dimensional viewing windows are much clearer. 5,000 years of technical improvements, he replied with a tired smile. Even interdimensional travelers get software updates. Despite his attempt at humor, exhaustion was evident in every line of his body. The Six Paths Sage mode had taken a tremendous toll, especially after so long without accessing that level of power. Hera studied him with a clinical eye. You need rest. Actual rest, not just dimensional monitoring. I'll rest when I'm sure the bindings are stable, he replied, already turning toward the holographic display of the network. Stubborn as ever, Rhea sighed, exchanging a knowing glance with Hera. Some traits transcend dimensions, apparently. Hera approached the planning table, examining the network visualization with interest. The 7 binding points glowed steadily, connections between them pulsing with renewed strength. Unlike before, the energy flows now adapted and shifted continuously, making patterns that were harder to predict or attack. It's beautiful, she admitted. A cosmic work of art as much as a security system. Function and form, Naruto agreed, manipulating the display to zoom in on specific connections. The adaptability makes it stronger. Fixed patterns are too easily undermined. A lesson many gods never learn, Hera observed. Olympians particularly struggle with change. Speaking of Olympians, Rhea interjected, what exactly will you tell them? Hera considered this carefully. A version of the truth. That ancient bindings were threatened, cosmic order was at risk, and we helped stabilize the situation. The details of who created those bindings can wait. Zeus won't be satisfied with that, Rhea warned. He'll demand to know everything. Zeus frequently demands things he doesn't get, Hera replied with unexpected sharpness. He's been living with half-truths about the Titanomachy for millennia. A few more weeks won't harm him. Naruto looked up from the display, studying Hera with new interest. You're protecting me from Olympian politics. Why? Because the binding network is too important to risk in a divine power struggle, she replied practically. And because Zeus's ego makes him dangerous when confronted with beings more powerful than himself. Wise assessment, Rhea approved. My son's greatest flaw has always been his insecurity disguised as arrogance. Also, Hera added after a moment, you deserve time to recover before facing an Olympian inquisition. Your actions today saved this reality, again. That earns you consideration. Naruto seemed surprised by this explanation, but nodded gratefully. Thank you. An alert chimed from the holographic display, drawing their attention. One of the binding sites, the Sphinx, was showing unusual energy patterns. Problem? Rhea asked, moving closer to examine the readings. Not exactly, Naruto replied, manipulating the display to enhance the data. It's adapting faster than the others. Integrating the new binding protocols more efficiently. Is that concerning? Hera inquired. It's unexpected. Naruto studied the readings with a furrowed brow. The Egyptian binding point has always been more responsive to changes, possibly due to its connection to Apophis, a being that embodies chaos and adaptation itself. Could it be corrupting the new binding? Rhea asked worriedly. No, it's more like. Naruto paused, searching for the right explanation. Imagine teaching 7 different students the same lesson. Some learn exactly as taught, some struggle, and one exceptional student not only masters the material but improves upon it. The Sphinx binding is innovating, Hera realized. Building on your framework. Yes. Naruto didn't sound entirely comfortable with this development. It's not dangerous, might even be beneficial long-term, but it shows a level of independent function I didn't anticipate. Perhaps we should investigate in person, Rhea suggested. See exactly what's happening. Naruto shook his head. Not yet. Let's give the network time to fully stabilize. Interfering too soon could disrupt the integration process. He deactivated the display with a gesture. For now, we watch and wait. And rest, Hera insisted firmly. You can barely stand, Naruto. As if to prove her point, when he turned away from the table, he swayed slightly. This time, it was Hera who steadied him, her hand catching his arm with surprising gentleness. She's right, you know, Rhea said. Even primordial entities need recovery time. Fine, Naruto conceded with a sigh. A few hours. Then we reassess. The dimension responded to his decision, dimming the lighting in certain areas while brightening pathways to the private chambers. Naruto allowed himself to be guided toward one of the doorways, though he paused before entering. The dimension will alert us if anything critical changes with the bindings, he assured them. And you're both welcome to any rooms you wish. They'll configure to your preferences. We'll manage, Rhea promised. Rest now. When Naruto had disappeared into his chamber, Rhea turned to Hera with a knowing expression. You're handling this remarkably well. Finding out Zeus's greatest achievement was actually someone else's work. I've suspected something like this for centuries, Hera admitted, moving to examine one of the dimensional viewing windows. This one showed a peaceful ocean scene, the Pacific, perhaps. The traditional account never quite made sense. Zeus going from newborn god to titan defeater in such a short time span. History is rarely so convenient. And you're not troubled by working with me? Rhea asked carefully. Many Olympians view all titans with suspicion. You're my mother, Hera replied simply. And unlike most gods, I remember that family bonds should mean something. Rhea studied her daughter with renewed appreciation. You've changed since I saw you last. There's a certainty to you that wasn't there before. Millennia of dealing with Zeus's indiscretions will either break you or forge you, Hera said with a shrug that didn't quite disguise old pain. I chose the latter. And now? Rhea gestured around them. This situation, dimensional travelers, cosmic bindings, primordial threats, it's far beyond traditional Olympian concerns. Now we adapt, Hera stated with finality. Just like Naruto's new binding network. Fixed patterns are too easily undermined, remember? Rhea smiled, recognizing Hera's subtle reference to her own marriage and role on Olympus. Well put. The two goddesses settled into comfortable silence, each lost in her own thoughts as the pocket dimension hummed quietly around them, monitoring the cosmos while its creator finally rested. Zeus was furious. Lightning crackled continuously around the Olympian throne room as the king of the gods paced, his divine aura so intense that minor gods and nymphs had fled the area entirely. Only a select few remained: Athena, watching her father with calculating eyes, Apollo, unusually serious as he processed conflicting prophetic visions, and Ares, who seemed almost amused by Zeus's tantrum. Delphi. Zeus thundered, his voice shaking the marble columns. Ancient power signatures at Delphi. And no one can tell me what happened. The site shows evidence of a significant divine confrontation, Athena reported calmly. But the energy patterns are unusual. Not standard Olympian signatures. Titan energy, Apollo added. Definitely Titan, but also something else. Something I've never sensed before. And where is Artemis? Zeus demanded. Her moonlight signature was detected at the site, yet she fails to answer my summons. Hunting, probably, Ares suggested with a shrug. You know how she gets when she's on a trail. And Hera? Zeus's eyes narrowed dangerously. My own queen absent without explanation. During a potential crisis? No one had an answer for that. Hera's absence was indeed the most troubling aspect of the situation. She rarely left Olympus without formal notice, especially during periods of cosmic disturbance. The fates are also unresponsive, Athena noted carefully. Their shop in New Orleans appears abandoned. Zeus slammed his master bolt against the floor, sending cracks through the marble. Too many coincidences. Something significant has occurred without my knowledge or approval. Perhaps we should consult the oracle, Apollo suggested. If Delphi was the focal point, the oracle has been silent for days, Zeus interrupted. No prophecies, no communications, nothing. As if something is blocking its cosmic connection. The implications of this hung heavy in the air. The oracle's connection transcended even Zeus's authority, it was tied to cosmic forces older than Olympus itself. Father, Athena began diplomatically, perhaps this situation requires investigation rather than immediate action. If forces beyond our normal experience are involved, nothing is beyond my experience. Zeus roared, lightning flashing from his eyes. I defeated the Titans. I established cosmic order. I am Olympus. Ares rolled his eyes behind his father's back, while Apollo and Athena exchanged meaningful glances. Zeus's insistence on his own supremacy was nothing new, but his current level of agitation suggested deeper concerns. We've detected similar energy disturbances at other sites around the world, Apollo reported, changing tactics. The Sphinx in Egypt, Mount Fuji in Japan, Uluru in Australia, and others. All exhibiting the same pattern of power surge followed by stabilization. This information gave Zeus pause. A coordinated event. Across pantheon boundaries. It appears so, Athena confirmed. Which suggests something affecting fundamental cosmic structures rather than merely Greek concerns. Zeus's expression darkened further. The other pantheon leaders have not contacted me. If they're conspiring, or perhaps they're equally confused, Athena suggested quickly. The Egyptian gods haven't been active in mortal affairs for centuries. The Shinto deities keep to themselves. Many pantheons lack Olympus's organization and communication structures. This appealed to Zeus's sense of superiority, calming him slightly. True. The other divine realms are hardly as sophisticated as ours. Before the discussion could continue, a messenger burst into the throne room, Hermes, looking unusually disheveled. Father. He called, skidding to a halt before Zeus. News from the mortal realm. The strange energy signatures are fading worldwide. Whatever happened appears to be resolving itself. Resolving itself? Zeus repeated incredulously. Cosmic disturbances don't simply resolve themselves. This one appears to be, Hermes insisted. All monitoring stations report normalization. Even the weather patterns are stabilizing. Zeus studied his messenger son suspiciously. You know more than you're saying, Hermes. Where have you been during this crisis? The messenger god didn't flinch under his father's scrutiny. Monitoring the situation as ordered, father. I've been checking multiple sites around the world. The disturbance at Tamalpay in California has also normalized. Tamalpay, Zeus muttered. Atlas's burden. Was the Titan attempting to break free? If so, he failed, Hermes reported confidently. The cosmic weight remained secured. Zeus considered this information, his rage gradually subsiding into calculating suspicion. And Hera? Have you seen your stepmother during your travels? Something flickered in Hermes's eyes, too quick to identify but definitely there. No, father. Perhaps she's investigating independently, as is her right as queen. Zeus didn't appear satisfied with this explanation but seemed unwilling to press further with an audience present. He waved dismissively. Continue monitoring. I want reports on any further disturbances immediately. He turned to Athena. Daughter, prepare a delegation to Delphi. I want the site examined thoroughly. Of course, father, she agreed, though her expression suggested she had reservations. Apollo, consult your alternative oracular sources. If Delphi is compromised, we need prophecy from elsewhere. The sun god nodded. I'll speak to the Sibyls. And Ares, Zeus added, turning to his war god's son, prepare the divine forces. If this calm is merely prelude to a larger conflict, Olympus will be ready. Ares grinned, clearly pleased with this assignment. With pleasure, father. As the gods dispersed to their tasks, Zeus remained on his throne, staring into the distance with troubled eyes. Something unprecedented had occurred, something that affected cosmic fundamentals, and somehow, it had happened without his knowledge or involvement. For a deity whose identity was built on being the ultimate authority, this was more than troubling. It was existentially threatening. I will discover what happened, he murmured to the empty throne room. And whoever acted without my authority will face divine consequences. Lightning flashed in agreement, illuminating his hard expression as new plots formed in the mind of the king of gods. In Naruto's pocket dimension, time passed differently than in the outside world. What felt like a few hours of rest to its occupants translated to nearly 2 days in normal reality. The dimensional traveler emerged from his recovery chamber looking significantly refreshed, his chakra levels restored and his connection with Kurama stabilized. He found Rhea and Hera in the main living area, deep in conversation over the holographic display of the binding network. They had apparently made themselves comfortable during his absence, both having exchanged their battle-worn attire for flowing garments that appeared simultaneously modern and timeless, likely generated by the dimension itself in response to their preferences. The Egyptian nexus continues to evolve, Rhea was saying, pointing to the Sphinx binding point. It's developing secondary connections that weren't in the original design. But they're not weakening the structure, Hera observed. If anything, they appear to be reinforcing it, creating redundancies. Exactly, Rhea agreed. It's almost as if, it's learning, Naruto finished, joining them at the display. Adapting based on the attack patterns it experienced. Both goddesses turned at his arrival, Rhea smiling warmly while Hera maintained her more reserved demeanor, though her eyes showed clear relief at his recovered state. Welcome back to the land of the conscious, Rhea greeted. You needed that rest more than you admitted. How long was I out? He asked, studying the network display with interest. In here? About 6 hours, Hera replied. Outside, closer to 2 days. Naruto nodded, unsurprised by the time differential. And the bindings? Stable overall, Rhea reported. 6 of the 7 are functioning exactly as designed, implementing your new adaptive protocols without deviation. And the Sphinx continues to innovate, Hera added, gesturing to the display. It's fascinating, really. Almost as if it's developed a form of consciousness. That shouldn't be possible, Naruto murmured, examining the data more closely. The bindings have awareness in the sense that they can respond to threats, but not independent consciousness. Could it be influenced by what it contains? Rhea suggested. Apophis is a chaos entity, adaptation and evolution are part of its nature. Possibly, Naruto conceded, though he looked troubled by the implication. But that would suggest some level of connection between the binding and the bound, which would be concerning. Yet it's not weakening the prison, Hera noted. If anything, it's strengthening it beyond your original design. For now, Naruto qualified. We should investigate in person, see exactly what's happening at the Sphinx. Before either goddess could respond, a notification pulsed on the display, a communication request from the outside world. Artemis, Hera identified, recognizing the divine signature. Shall we connect her? Naruto nodded, making a gesture that opened a communication window in the air before them. Artemis's face appeared, her expression serious. Finally, the moon goddess said by way of greeting. Do you realize how long you've been out of contact? Time works differently here, Naruto explained. Has something happened? Besides Zeus working himself into a divine frenzy and dispatching search parties for all of you? Nothing much. Artemis's sarcasm was palpable. Olympus is on high alert. Zeus has Athena investigating Delphi, Apollo consulting every oracular source available, and Ares preparing for war against an unidentified threat. Hera sighed. Predictable. My husband always assumes any unexplained event must be an attack on his authority. He's specifically looking for you, Artemis told her. Your absence during a cosmic crisis has him particularly agitated. I suppose I'll need to make an appearance soon, Hera acknowledged. Though I'm not eager to navigate his interrogation without a cohesive story. What about the binding network? Naruto asked Artemis. Any visible disturbances from your perspective? Nothing obvious, the huntress reported. Whatever you did seems to have worked. The cosmic disturbances have subsided completely. Even the weather patterns have normalized. And the fates? Rhea inquired. Any sign of them? Artemis shook her head. Their shop remains abandoned. Apollo tried to locate them through prophetic channels but found nothing. It's as if they've simply vanished from the cosmic order. This was concerning news. The fates were fundamental to reality's functioning, their absence created a dangerous vacuum in the cosmic hierarchy. We need to address that soon, Naruto noted grimly. But first, the Sphinx binding takes priority. If it's truly developing beyond its design parameters, we need to understand why and how. I can create a diversion on Olympus, Artemis offered. Give you more time before Zeus demands answers. No, Hera decided. I should return briefly, manage the situation. Zeus responds better to my presence, even when I'm not providing the answers he wants. Are you sure? Rhea asked, concern evident in her voice. He'll be particularly difficult after being left in the dark for days. I've managed my husband's moods for millennia, Hera replied with a dry smile. This is hardly the first time I've needed to redirect his focus. Naruto studied her with newfound respect. What will you tell him? A version of the truth. That I detected cosmic disturbances related to ancient bindings and investigated personally. She shrugged elegantly. He'll assume I was being secretive to avoid challenging his authority, which ironically will satisfy his ego enough to reduce his questioning. Clever, Artemis approved. And not entirely untrue. The best deceptions rarely are, Hera replied. I'll return to Olympus, settle Zeus's immediate concerns, then rejoin you at the Sphinx. We can investigate the anomaly together. I'll cover for your departure, Artemis promised. And continue monitoring the divine frequencies for any unusual activity. Thank you, Naruto said sincerely. Your help has been invaluable, Artemis. The moon goddess seemed slightly surprised by his gratitude. I protect cosmic balance. It's my duty. She paused, then added, though I still expect that full explanation you promised. You'll have it, he assured her. Once we confirm the bindings are truly secure. Artemis nodded, apparently satisfied with this answer. I'll contact you if anything changes on Olympus. With that, her image vanished as the communication window closed. She's trustworthy, Naruto observed. Not many deities would help without demanding complete information first. Artemis values action over politics, Hera explained. Always has. It makes her one of the few Olympians I genuinely respect. We should prepare for your return to Olympus, Rhea suggested to her daughter. Zeus will be scrutinizing every detail for inconsistencies. Hera nodded, her expression becoming more guarded as she mentally prepared to resume her role as Queen of Olympus. I'll need to adjust my appearance to reflect appropriate concern over the situation without revealing actual knowledge. The dimension can help with that, Naruto offered, gesturing toward one of the doorways. The preparation chamber can create any appearance you need. As Hera moved toward the indicated door, Naruto turned to Rhea. While she prepares, we should discuss the Sphinx investigation. What we're looking for, what might explain the anomalies. Rhea nodded, but there was hesitation in her demeanor. Before that, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. About? Your return. She met his gaze directly. You said you're not disappearing again, but what exactly does that mean? Will you stay in this reality? Maintain a presence here? Or simply check in more frequently from your dimension? The question carried weight beyond its literal meaning, and Naruto recognized the underlying concern in her voice. Honestly, he began, choosing his words carefully. I don't know yet. The last few days have reminded me of connections I'd almost forgotten, to this world, to the cosmic balance here, to. He hesitated, then finished simply, to people I once knew. That's not really an answer, Rhea observed, though her tone remained gentle. It's the most honest one I have right now. Naruto ran a hand through his spiky blonde hair. 5,000 years is a long time, Rhea. I've changed. This world has changed. Finding where I fit now, if I fit at all, that's not something I can determine in a few days. Rhea studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Fair enough. But consider this, perhaps where you fit isn't predetermined. Perhaps it's something you create through new connections, new purposes. Before Naruto could respond, Hera emerged from the preparation chamber. She had transformed her appearance subtly but effectively, her clothing now a formal chiton suitable for Olympus, her hair arranged in a traditional style befitting her station, and her expression composed into one of dignified concern. How do I look? She asked. Appropriately queen-like. Perfect, Rhea assured her. Every inch the concerned ruler investigating a potential threat to her realm. Zeus will be suspicious regardless, Hera noted pragmatically. But this should mitigate his worst impulses. Naruto created a portal directly to Olympus with a gesture. This will place you near the throne room but not directly in it. Less dramatic than appearing in a flash of light before Zeus. Hera nodded appreciatively. Subtlety serves us better for now. She stepped toward the portal but paused before entering. I'll rejoin you at the Sphinx in 12 hours, assuming Zeus doesn't make that impossible. And if he does? Rhea asked. Then I'll send word through Artemis. Hera's expression hardened slightly. But my husband will not prevent me from completing this mission, one way or another. The conviction in her voice was surprising given her traditional role as loyal queen. Naruto found himself reassessing his understanding of Hera. Clearly, there was more depth to the goddess than ancient myths suggested. Be careful, he said simply. Olympian politics can be as dangerous as primordial threats. I wrote the book on Olympian politics, Hera replied with unexpected wryness. But thank you for the concern. With that, she stepped through the portal, which closed behind her immediately to prevent any divine tracking of its origin point. "She's more formidable than I remember," Naruto observed once they were alone. "Hera has always been underestimated," Rhea replied. "By Zeus, by the other gods, by mortals with their simplistic myths. Her power runs deeper than most realize." "I'm starting to see that." Naruto turned his attention back to the network display, specifically the Sphinx anomaly. "We should prepare for Egypt. This time, we go properly equipped." Rhea followed his gaze to the display, her expression becoming more focused. "What exactly are we looking for at the Sphinx?" "Signs of consciousness in the binding itself. Evidence of communication between the prison and the prisoner. Anything that explains why this particular nexus is evolving while the others remain static. And if we find such evidence? If Apophis is somehow influencing the binding?" Naruto's expression hardened. "Then we may need to completely reconstruct that particular prison. Which would be complicated. Because Apophis cannot be freed even temporarily," Rhea understood. "Not without catastrophic consequences." "Exactly." Naruto gestured, and equipment began materializing on the planning table: scrolls, weapons, specialized tools. "We'll need to be prepared for anything. Apophis isn't just a titan or a god, it's a fundamental force of destruction. The Egyptians called it the Uncreator for good reason." "I remember," Rhea said quietly. "I was there when you first bound it." The sky turned to blood, the earth wept molten stone. Reality itself seemed to tear apart at the seams. "And that was just from its partial manifestation," Naruto reminded her grimly. "If it fully materialized in this reality." He didn't need to finish the thought. They both understood the stakes. 12 hours, Rhea stated, already examining the equipment Naruto had summoned. "Then we meet Hera at the Sphinx and face whatever awaits us there." Naruto nodded, his blue eyes momentarily flashing red as Kurama stirred within their shared consciousness. 12 hours, the fox entity agreed through Naruto's voice. "Let's hope the Queen's diplomatic skills are as sharp as she claims. We'll need all three of us at full strength for what's coming." Mount Olympus existed simultaneously as a physical mountain in Greece and a divine realm above mortal perception. The Olympian throne room occupied this paradoxical space, grand marble columns stretching toward an impossibly high ceiling, the floor inlaid with constellations that moved in real time, and 12 massive thrones arranged in a U-shape around a central hearth that burned with divine fire. Hera emerged from a side entrance, her arrival purposefully understated. She took a moment to observe the scene before making her presence known. Zeus occupied his central throne, lightning crackling around him as he conferred with Athena, who stood beside him with a scroll in her hands. Apollo sat nearby on his golden throne, eyes closed in concentration as if receiving distant visions. Several minor gods hovered around the periphery, clearly awaiting orders or delivering reports. The atmosphere was tense, a war council rather than the usual Olympian court. Exactly as Artemis had described. Hera straightened her posture and stepped forward, her divine aura expanding subtly to announce her presence. Conversation ceased immediately as all eyes turned toward her. "My lord husband," she greeted Zeus formally, approaching the central thrones with measured dignity. "I returned from investigation to find Olympus in quite a state." Zeus's expression cycled rapidly through surprise, relief, and finally settling on carefully controlled anger. "My queen," he replied, his voice dangerously calm. "How gracious of you to rejoin us after your unexplained absence during a cosmic crisis." "Unexplained?" Hera raised an elegant eyebrow. "I left word with Iris that I was investigating disturbances in the divine frequencies." This was a calculated mention. Iris, goddess of the rainbow and divine messenger, was currently away on a mission Zeus himself had assigned. She couldn't contradict Hera's claim. "Convenient that Iris is unavailable to confirm this," Zeus noted, clearly suspicious. "Perhaps if you hadn't sent her to monitor the Norse pantheon, she would be here to corroborate," Hera replied smoothly. "In any case, my investigation proved fruitful." Ancient bindings were indeed under strain, but appear to have stabilized. Athena studied her stepmother with keen interest. What bindings do you refer to, Lady Hera? The cosmic disturbances affected sites beyond Greek territory. Precisely why I investigated personally, Hera explained, maintaining her composed demeanor. Cross-Pantheon events require careful diplomatic handling. Had I announced Olympian interest openly, it might have appeared as Greek interference in other domains. This explanation resonated with the assembled gods. Divine territory disputes were common and often volatile. Hera's justification played into existing concerns while revealing nothing of substance. Zeus, however, remained skeptical. And what did you discover about these bindings? They are older than previously documented, Hera replied carefully. Predating formal pantheon divisions. They appear to serve as cosmic stabilizers at key junctures around the world. Created by whom? Zeus demanded, the question Hera had been anticipating. She met his gaze directly. That remains unclear. The energy signatures are unlike any currently active pantheon. Possibly primordial in origin, from before the establishment of divine hierarchies. This was technically true while completely avoiding mention of Naruto. Zeus's expression suggested he wasn't entirely satisfied but couldn't identify a specific deception to challenge. And these bindings are now secure? Athena asked, her analytical mind focused on practical concerns. They appear to be self-stabilizing, Hera confirmed. The disturbances we detected were temporary fluctuations that have resolved naturally. Naturally? Zeus repeated incredulously. Cosmic structures don't repair themselves. These apparently do, Hera countered calmly. Which suggests they were designed with adaptive capabilities beyond our current understanding. Apollo opened his eyes, speaking for the first time. She speaks truth, or at least, what she believes to be truth. The oracular wavelengths have indeed stabilized. Whatever threatened cosmic order has retreated. Zeus studied his queen with narrowed eyes. You were at Delphi. Your divine signature was detected there during the energy surge. I was monitoring the situation from our strongest oracular site, Hera acknowledged without hesitation. It provided the clearest view of the disturbances across pantheons. And the Titan energy detected there? Zeus pressed. Hera had prepared for this question. Residual signatures from the bindings themselves. They appear to incorporate multiple divine frameworks, Titan, Olympian, and others less easily identified. Zeus drummed his fingers on his throne's armrest, lightning sparking with each tap. He wasn't fully convinced, but Hera had provided plausible explanations for each anomaly without revealing anything significant. And now, he finally asked. What is your assessment of the situation? Resolved for the moment, Hera replied diplomatically. But worthy of continued monitoring. I plan to check several other affected sites to ensure complete stabilization. Alone? Zeus's tone made the question a challenge. With appropriate assistance, Hera countered smoothly. Artemis has already proven helpful with her tracking abilities. Perhaps Apollo could lend his prophetic insights as well. Mentioning other Olympians was a calculated move. It placed the investigation within the Pantheon framework while giving Hera legitimate reason to depart again. Zeus considered this, clearly weighing his desire to maintain control against the practical benefits of Hera's approach. Very well, he finally conceded, though his expression remained suspicious. But I expect regular reports. Olympus cannot be left uninformed during potential cosmic threats. Of course, my lord, Hera agreed with appropriate deference. Shall I continue my investigation immediately, or do you require additional information first? The question placed Zeus in a position where denying her departure would appear as obstructionism rather than proper caution. Proceed, he granted magnanimously. Take Apollo with you if his oracular insights would prove useful. Athena will continue investigating here, coordinating Olympian defenses should these stabilized bindings prove less secure than you believe. Athena nodded her agreement, though Hera noticed a calculating look in her stepdaughter's eyes. The goddess of wisdom was astute enough to sense there was more to the situation than Hera had revealed. I will depart after briefing Apollo on what I've observed thus far, Hera said, bowing slightly to Zeus before turning to the sun god. Shall we confer in the western gardens? The afternoon light provides clarity for discussions of cosmic matters. Apollo rose from his throne, his golden aura brightening slightly. An excellent suggestion, Lady Hera. As they something went wrong with this response, please try again. Start the next chapter of this book. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.